Welcome to the Songkran live stream. We'll be developing Goobuddies today. Please don't mind that. They're all hunched up in one spot. Don't mind that. I'll fix that in just a moment. I want to finish rigging and preparing these Goobuddies for animation. If the audio at any point is ever a little uneven in terms of the music, just please let me know and I can fix that. Let's go ahead and just organize. We will pick which Goobuddies we will rig today. Sometimes we have to wait for Unity to think a little. Set those aside. Now we want our finished Goobuddy rigs here. We want those on screen just so we can make sure we get the right scale as we set up our new ones here. What we're doing today, this is a horrible amalgamation. Let's go ahead and split them up now. So these are the Goobuddies we will be rigging today. I think I'll start with this one here. So these are the young stages. And rigging. Okay. Let's start out with an easy one. Let's start out with this one here. That's the correct name for that. It's Squatlet. We look at our stats here. Melty here. Oh, it's Chublet. There we go. Oh, sounds like my dog is barking. Okay, Squatlet is out. So let's get all the young stages out so we can see the early... Hey, Wayne, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. I'll be doing some rigging and animating today. Rigging used to be so painful. Oh, man. Just the worst. But I've improved a lot. I might have to see what my dog is barking at. And with the new tools, it's a lot easier to do rigging. How's it going? Ezekiel, this will be for Steam and Switch, and there will be free versions of the game for the 3DS and the PS Vita. So if you have Homebrew on those consoles, then you'll be able to play this game here. Okay. So this is Chublet, right? We've got that. Okay. Let me know if the music's ever too loud here. So, I'm in Australia, so the weather's quite warm right now, so it's kind of... It sounds insane, but I have the air conditioner on. It's summer here in Australia. So when we are rigging, I just want to make sure that the bottom of the Goobuddy is lined up with the 0 value on the y-axis. Let's go ahead. But I know that the shader that I use to have outlines on the Goobuddies, if the Goobuddies too close to the ground, it actually won't draw the shader, you know, so I have to adjust that in the game. It won't draw the outline. And it's quite high poly count as well. It's quite detailed dense. And so I also make sure that when I do the 3DS and PS Vita versions, I have to make reduced versions of the 3D models. The Vita is a little better when it comes to your poly counts that it can handle, but the 3DS is not great at high poly count stuff. So what we'll do is we'll soften this first. And I just want to double check something here. Okay, because some of these are actually... Right, so see how it has the 1 coming out the back? That is the back. So I want to make sure I'm looking at this. That's the back that we're looking at right now. So this is currently facing the wrong way. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and just rotate everything. I got my screen sort of blocking part of my setup here. So when we have rotation, we can actually snap rotation. Absolute. We can leave that at 40. Whoop. 45. And we will axis orientation to the world, and we can go ahead, spin it till you win it. This is facing the wrong way. Am I crazy? Am I looking at this right? I'm looking at it. It's perfectly symmetrical. What's going on? Am I looking at this right? I was looking at it wrong. No, it is symmetrical. Never mind. Okay, let's go ahead and just save the project. We'll start putting bones in this bad boy. Nice, I'll buy it for the Steam Deck. I love the instant transmission in your videos. I think you can tell I'm a massive Dragon Ball fan. I could watch Dragon Ball any day, but you know what I really like? The Bruce Falconer music is what I'm about, you know? You know, I don't have a problem with the original music, but man, Bruce Falconer's music with the, you know, the electric guitar and the synth, it makes Frieza feel so sinister, you know? And, you know, the Ginyu Force, with the Bruce Falconer music, they're so intimidating. Let me go ahead and save this. My computer's kind of chugging right now, and it's probably because I have a bunch of windows open. In this game, the Kickstarter for this is wrapping up in 2 days, I think, and I want to be able to create more monsters. I'm hoping with the Kickstarter, if it's successful, I'll have enough time to spend some development time on making 52 more Goobuddies, implementing them, and making a version of the game that runs free in the web browser. So I'm hoping the Kickstarter will cross the finish line. It's pretty close. I think we're at 88% or something like that. Okay, 3D model, formatting, X. Okay, Chublet is this guy's name. Chublet. Okay. So yeah, if you guys want to share the Kickstarter campaign, just share it online and tell people about it. That would be a massive help, because this kind of thing, it really takes a team effort to get a Kickstarter to be funded. So rigging non-humanoid things, like rigging things like Goobuddies, is very pleasant. Having to rig humans, in the past we didn't have auto riggers, and it was excruciatingly painful having to create a human rig and then set that up every single time. These days we use auto riggers to do the human stuff, and it's so much easier now. It takes so much repetitive, pointless work away from you, because every human rig is exactly the same, you know, and having to keep adjusting that bit by bit and then create it again and again. Having retargetable going on with my keyboard here? Having retargetable... Oh, you know what? Hold on, Snap is on here. Retargetable animations means you can make one animation for a humanoid, and then you can have any other rig that's humanoid can also use that same animation. Which, you know, there may be some differences. So, with non-humanoid rigs, it's fun because it can be anything. It can be whatever you want it to be. And with Goobuddies, it seems like it should be hard to rig this stuff, but it's way more fun than it seems. But it's still time consuming. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It's just time consuming. Hey, Bern Hogginspan, how's it going? The Canadian bipedal models are easier, I guess, as it can be used again. Yeah. We have auto riggers now that we know what humanoids should be, and so I have a massive library. Just keep building a library of animations, and you can reuse the animations. You can modify animations so they can be other things. In 2016, I did Animelee. It's a fighting game with just animals, and that was fun. And I had never animated animals before that point. And it was interesting. I studied a bunch of documentaries. I was constantly watching animal and nature documentaries, looking at the natural movement of animals and thinking, all right, now how can I break that so I can make these animals do uppercuts and backflips and tackle attacks and spiral tackles? And that was fun. So when you're considering these things, you have to view these from a couple different angles here. And you have to consider what you need to be bendy. So that's what I'm focusing on, is what do I need to be bendy? And I know which parts of the Goobuddies I want to be bendy, so you take into account your physics simulation solution, which fortunately, that physics simulation solution works across all platforms. I was worried it wasn't going to work properly on the Vita and 3DS, and that would have been a nightmare having to implement a different physics simulation solution. But the farther you go from the root chain, the softer, the more flexible, the more bendy that thing will be in general, because it's taking the movement and rotation of all the previous bones and sort of magnifying them when you get to the next point there. I'll be naming these as well. So let's go ahead and start doing that now. Actually, I'll just finish putting the bones in there. So even though these are slimes, they do have bones. So that'll be the face there. Let me know if the music's ever too loud or if you can't hear it. Okay, so at this point, this is very fun to do this, but in the past, this was so difficult and frustrating. It took me years and years and years to develop proficiency with this. I think there are people that pick this up naturally much faster. I do need to define a tail as well. Part of my screen is sort of blocked here. Okay, we have the head, and then I'm going to look at his backside here. And I do need a tether point for the tail. We'll go ahead and put that in there. Good, just got home from work. Excellent time to relax, have a refreshing beverage, or if you're in the cold weather, have a nice hot beverage. So I'm putting bones where I want the Goobuddy to be able to wobble. And I know that my eye rig, I have my eye rig and the mouth rig need to be attached here. I need a point for the head because the Goobuddy needs a point where its mutations, the mutations attached to a certain point. But this Goobuddy is kind of forward facing, so we're going to create a second bone for that. There we go. So anything that attaches in terms of his mutations, they attach there. So I do my rigs with consideration to uh, in-engine in-engine fluid character creation, where some of that character creation comes from the game engine itself and not the character. And so I create bones that are tether points. The eyes will be a child of that, because that'll be a game object, and so that allows me to do that in engine. It allows me to have dynamic visuals for the characters and change them. Barry, hey, how's it going, man? Good to hear from you. How's the stage show going? Okay, so we'll call this uh, leg leg A one. Oh, A left one. It's important to have these named. If you don't have these named, it can become an absolute nightmare, especially when you are going through the bones in the engine and you are looking for a specific one. If you need to attach something to it, it can be a real nightmare if you don't name your joints. So I'm just going to name them like that. C2. The music's a creepy music. Let's go ahead and do some peaceful music. Let me know if the music's too loud or too quiet. And this will be tail. Do you have to program the movement, or can it be automated somehow? In terms of the movement, do you mean the animations, that movement? You generally have two different kinds of animation. You have keyframe animation, where you move each bones. It's kind of like a flip book, where you have a big, stack of papers, and then you draw the characters one frame at a time and you flip through it. That's traditional 2D animation, and you do the same thing in 3D. So I'll show you, once I bind the skin, I'll show you moving the bones will animate the character, so I can show that to you. And you can combine that with physics simulation. And physics simulation takes into account the velocity of the character, any rotations, and you can combine that with a keyframe animation to make the character look alive. The word animate means to bring to life. And while we're not actually bringing anything to life, because that would be horrifying, I think it would bring me existential dread from you'd get like Geppetto syndrome, I think. I think it'd be terrifying if you could bring an inanimate object to life. But I'll show you the process. It's so satisfying. This is one of the most satisfying parts of game development, because every single part of it is visual, and you get an immediate feedback. So it's very satisfying. And on the opposite end of that, what is not satisfying is, say, for example, programming, because you could be programming something for a week and barely have anything to show for it. And you can do thousands of lines of code and barely something on the screen will change. You'll have a menu functioning. You can allow a character to change equipment. So it can be deflating when you're just doing programming. So I mix up my workflow. I do a bit of programming, and then I get to do this stuff. This stuff is it makes you feel good because you can see the end result. Let's just call this cheek left. A forward movement from A to B for every single Goobuddy sounds like a lot of work. Oh, I can show you that. If you mean the movement of moving Goobuddies from point to point, I can show that to you. Let's go ahead and just rig this guy up, and then we'll go back into Unity, and I'll show you how that works. I write simple AI for that, and I'm not talking about gross generative AI. I mean the old school AI. And in a form, I mean, we shouldn't really be calling it AI. It's kind of like automatons, and I'm fascinated. If you look at the Victorian era, and I love the Victorian era because people back then, they believed in the future, right? There was an optimism about the future, and they were basically shooting for the stars. Every single thing that they did in the Victorian era was, they clearly were not capable of doing all of this advanced stuff, but they were going to try it anyway, They thought, let's make automatons, let's make this, let's make that. And they really shaped our world, because we have what we have because the Victorian era people took so many risks, and their inventions, they're so full of heart, You know, they're full of soul. They really tried. And there's something, I have a real soft spot for the Victorian area. I really love it. Okay, and we're going to, we're one at a time. So this is what's good is when you put the word left in there, you can automate this to change it to replace the word left with the word right. So I will use this tool here to mirror the bones. So you see I've made bones on one side of the model, and now I can mirror them so I don't have to do it twice, and also they will have the exact same dimensions. Okay, and now I can do this. So I will save this as a second file now in case I need to go back, because sometimes things can get messed up. So I save multiple versions of the files here. So we go to skin, we go to bind, and basically we have magic. And I can show you what it looks like now. As we move these bones, you see the Goobuddy can move. So before we had no way of animating the Goobuddy outside of changing the vertices positions. We had no way to change it, but now when we move the rig, it's the armature, any of the bones, if we move any of them, then the Goobuddy will respond accordingly. But you see there's a little bit of roughness there. So what I'll do is I'll just paint the skin weights. And we're just going to smoothen things out here. There's a function built in where you can just press the smooth button and then your computer will lock up for like half an hour. So I don't necessarily use it, but you can see it's smoothing out. The areas that are white show which part of the geometry can be affected by a specific bone or a joint. They refer to them as joints. That's not really that accurate of a term. Calling them bones is really the most accurate descriptor for these things. So what I'm doing is I'm just going down the list and I'm smashing the flood button for smoothing out the influences. But Maya has this weird thing of, I don't know what it does, but sometimes it'll just mess up your weight maps, and something will go wrong, and it won't be what you've defined. Anyway, it's kind of a nightmare. You can paint the weights yourself manually as well. You can paint it and change it if you need to. Okay, this is done. Edit, delete all by type, non-deformer history, save it, export all, and this bad boy is rigged. Okay, we're going to drop it into the game engine now. So where is my guy? I gotta go to my files and just copy and pasta it. Okay. Okay. So this is the non-rigged version. That's a static mesh. Okay. I want to put this guy in the same directory. This is a nice shortcut. I really like this shortcut in Unity. So your project directory, it can become a real Escher's painting, if you know what I mean. But if you click on a model, so I'm going to click, I know this guy's rigged. If you click on the mesh here, it will just jump straight to wherever that file is. And then you can right click and show in Explorer. And that is a huge, that's huge. And in terms of movement, you were asking, Byrne, I'll show you the logic for that. It's easier than you think it is for basic movement, and then it can get a little complicated. Okay, let's bring this guy in. Scale that up. Center. And of course, I can fine-tune and adjust the size as need be. Well, let's go ahead and just put a material on this. So when it starts out, it doesn't have any particular special material, just a default one. I'm going to grab the same material as that guy. You see, I've clicked on that, and it'll show me where it is in my project. And now we have this guy. You can see he doesn't have eyeballs yet, but we'll go ahead and do this. This is the script that governs the physics simulation. That's a typo that says room. It should say root. That's not a big deal. I'll fix that later. So what we'll do is we'll take the root bone, we'll define that, And on the end bones, we want to end the physics simulation when it comes to the eyes and the mutations that go on the head, because if you don't do that, they'll wobble around like crazy. And the eyes will just jump out of the body. So we'll put face on end, bones there. And I have predetermined definition, so we'll go Goobuddy normal on that. He doesn't have eyes yet, but let's just go ahead and run this and I'll show you. Does the RAM shortage affecting your work? No, I'm good with animals. So I've got plenty of rams. I can deal with a ram. Barry, oh, that was only for 4 shows, but thanks for asking. Not announced yet, but I'm directing Sweeney Todd musical in April. Oh, man, yeah. That's awesome. Okay, and there we go. You can see it's, okay, for some, that's too jiggly. What's going on here? That's way too jiggly. So, let's go ahead and go Goobuddy hard. You can see that there are physics simulations on this bad boy now. And I'm getting some harshness here, so let's see what we can do about that. Go to Chublet. What I'm going to do is manually calculate the normals, and I'm going to increase the smoothing angle on the normals. You see how there was harshness there? And I'm here. You see, it thinks that there's a hard edge right there. I'm going to keep increasing the smoothing angle until I think it's appropriate. Oh man, I might have to make some adjustments to the model, because I don't really like that. That's come about. It wasn't like that, but I'm getting a text message here. Okay. Okay. Sorry, it's just some of the guys from the pub session last night were sending a text message. We had a great pub session last night for our Irish music club at the Irish pub, and it's the end of the year. It was the last one. It was a lot of fun. I don't like at all. You see, I'm getting harshness on the edges there, so I'm gonna look at the rig. I think I'll have to modify the paint weights manually because I don't like that at all. Anyway, let's put some eyeballs on this bad boy. Hey Ray, how's it going? I love the cute physics in this game. It was so important to me to make this satisfying to look at. I just want it to be, you look at it and you think, oh yeah, that's fun, you know? And that's why I didn't do this early on with my designs, but it was later on when I realized how fun it could look. I started adding more drippy bits to the designs. You know, characters have drippy stuff from their jaws. When you look at the Mantis design, it's got a lot of drippy stuff on the side of its carapace. And I decided to do that because I started doing the physics animations, and I realized, oh yeah, this could look really satisfying just seeing the drippy bits move around. Reset position. This is the eye rig, and what I do... Is the face off-center? Don't tell me the face is off-center. Anyway, I think I'll have to do some manual fixing, but it's not a big deal. And so it's interesting because our brains, we like proportions. Our brains automatically respond to proportions in very specific ways. Like, I look at this, right, and I think it's something about that isn't as cute as it could be, right? But once I increase the scale a certain amount, then you start thinking, oh yeah, that's pretty cute, but you naturally feel like the eyes are a little close together, and so you just spread them apart a little bit, and then you think, no, the eyes are too big now, something about that doesn't look right, and so you just adjust it down, and then eventually you settle into it where you think, that looks right, that looks adorable. For some reason, something about that just looks right. And so that's something I take into account when designing the Goobuddies and placing the features. And their face shapes are really designed to where you move it around a certain way and it looks like the eyes are looking in a certain direction. Like now it looks like he's leaning back and sort of looking at you like that. You know what I mean? And if I now move it forward and lower down, it looks like he's more forward facing. And you can kind of make them look wall-eyed. You can make them look cross-eyed. And there's, yeah, I'm trying to lean into the way that we naturally like certain proportions. We naturally find certain proportions appealing or adorable. Something that makes something look like a puppy, you know? And I very much was inspired to create this aesthetic and the style of eyes for Goobuddies because of my dog. You know, I walk around the room and my dog will he won't move, he'll just sort of lay down there and he's looking at me. And I see my dog watching me as I walk around the room and he's just watching. And I think it's the cutest thing in the world. So that's what inspired me to do Goobuddies this way, is when you view the Goobuddies from different angles, and it's not going to do it right now because the light source is tied to the camera of the game, and this is the editor, so it doesn't work this way. But in the game, it's specifically designed, and I control the light source in a very specific way to make it look like the Goobuddies constantly looking at you, no matter what angle. I have 2 doggies, and they are very good doggies. Let's start rigging up the next guy. I kind of think just a little bit bigger, and I think that's good. I want it to be just right. Yep, you know what? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that. Okay, so if we run it, we'll see him blinking, and it's once you have the blinking, once you have the movement, it starts feeling right. I'm gonna bounce around. I think this is satisfying to look at. It's very fun. Oh man, I'm making myself laugh here. Let's just go ahead and duplicate that. And what we're going to do now, this is Chublet. I'll do the formatting later. This stuff can get a little boring. But Burn, I will show you the movement as well. I'll show you how that works. Okay, we'll just go ahead and hide that for now. And this guy, hold on. I've designed this in a way to where I can, I use a template so that I save myself a massive amount of work. I'm not constantly redoing the same work over and over again. I set up a template, and the template lets me speed up my workflow. Okay. Let's see. Character holder. Now, if all goes accordion to plan, you will see this Goobuddy with his breathing animation because I've put him inside of the template. There we go. And it works. So you can see this one is rigged and ready to animate, but he doesn't have the programming logic necessary to have him do the breathing animation, whereas this one does. So we started here where it can't move at all. We have him rigged up, and now we have him rigged, physics simulating, and ready to rock and roll, baby. Look at him go. I will adjust the paint weights so that I'm getting some harshness on the outlines on the inside of the Goobuddy, so I will address that. Something about him is a little too squishy. Oh, Jess Sven. All right. YouTube switched my first and surname. Why, YouTube? YouTube, why would you do that? See, look. Something about the physics simulation about this, to me, that's satisfying to look at. It's very funny to me. This is funny. Okay, see, here's what you have to be careful with. So that's not supposed to happen, right? His eyeballs are really jumping out of his head. That should not be happening at all. So there is something going on here, and I will have to figure out what's happening. I don't know what happened. Shouldn't do that. It's fine. Oh! Face is over there, see? So, it looks like the Goobuddy was flipped. Looks like it was flipped around. I thought something was wrong. I really did. I really did. It is flipped around. And now we know, and knowing is half the battle. That seems correct to me now. Oh boy. What a fun little fellow. He's cute. So I'm going to just grab a template. Here's how I implement the mutation system. Actually, I'll show Sven. I'll show you how it works. So this is a game object. Game objects can have prefabs, and prefab is a template, so you create it. And the game engine can reuse that prefab. What I have here is an, let's see here, my ranch entity. So my ranch entity, oh, this is the snowy area. There's going to be 7 different corrals, and the corrals are different environments. I really like having different environments in games. I like seeing different things. I originally was only going to have 5 corrals, but then I was sitting there one night, and I was thinking it would be cool to have more. So I added more corrals. And for the last one, sometimes I'm working on this game, and I think, I'm going to do this because I think it's really cool. It's just kind of like a wish list feature. So the last corral you can get is a big treehouse. And it's, like it's a hunting stand where you set up a hunting stand, It's a big treehouse. And I just thought it would be really cool. So, more. I want more. I just want to have more cool stuff. But at some point you do have to stop. So this actually contains all the logic for the Goobuddies when it comes to the ranch. All of the programming is this here. There's no Goobuddy inside of it. The Goobuddies are actually just the graphics. So you see, I format the graphics, and the graphics have their own logic. The graphics are controlled by the auditionee, and the auditionee contains all the logic about where the character attaches their mutations. If the character is doing training, where do they hold the training equipment? So the auditionee has all of that information, but when it comes to actually doing things around the ranch, they don't have any of that information themselves. And the reason why it's split up is because if I needed to change some logic, I would end up having to go and change it for every single Goobuddy. If there are 79 Goobuddies, that means I have to change it 79 times. If the Kickstarter campaign succeeds, and I think we're at 88% right now, we have 3 days left, I'll be adding 52 more Goobuddies if the Kickstarter, or more. Actually, it's going to be more than that because people will be submitting their own Goobuddy designs. So people that have backed the project get to make Goobuddy designs. There'll be more than 52 more Goobuddies. So if I don't split up the logic, that means there's going to be more than like 130 Goobuddies to where if I need to change logic, I have to do it 130 times. I've split this logic up, so if I need to change something programmatically, I only change it one time here. So that's just a consideration for workflow, and it's an optimal way to design a game. It's taken me decades to develop that understanding, because admittedly, I'm not actually super smart. I think other people would have figured this out a long time ago. It took me a long time to figure it out. So, if I open the ranch entity, I rely on Unity's character controller, and the character controller handles physics simulations when it comes to collisions. So if there's a tree there, as long as the tree has a collider, you can see the collider there, then the Unity character controller will know that's not supposed to go through there. Don't let it go through there. In the past, when I worked in other game engines and we didn't have things like the character controller, doing collision checking is kind of a nightmare. It was not fun. Hey, PigletTube, good to see you. Are we going to see your mug collection someday? Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, how's it going? It's very good to it. Oh no, I'm sorry. I've lost track. I'm having a hard time pronouncing your name. Imagine Frankenstein did the same. Oop, wrong face side up. Oh man, that would be a monster. That that would be a real monster. What Unity version is that? I don't remember it looking like that in a long time. This is 5.6.6. It's very old, but it's extremely fast. This is the fastest version of Unity by far, and it's how I'm able to get a lot of work done very quickly. The primary thing that's missing from this version of Unity that really hurts me is the lack of nested prefabs. You know, I was explaining the prefab, the template system, and in newer versions of Unity, you can have a prefab inside of a prefab, which is excellent. This version does not have that. It kind of hurts, but the trade-offs are worth it. This version is extremely fast, and I can just port this up to newer versions. And by working in this version, I can bring my game to the 3DS and the Vita. If I worked in newer versions of Unity, I wouldn't be able to backport. You just can't. Everything would break if you try to backport. So that's why I'm working in this very old version. Newer versions of Unity, you'll be doing nothing at all. You'll click on a game object like that, and then Unity will stop, and a bar will come up, and it'll say, Unity's thinking right now. And I'll be sitting there for 40 seconds going, what the hell am I waiting for? There's no reason why Unity should just sit and lag like that. So I don't know why it has to be that way. So let's open up my logic here, Sven. I'll show you. So this is the script for Ranch Entity. I have a couple. I just got that D&D dice, the Dungeons and Dragons dice mug. That is one of my coolest mugs. And I don't know. I'm a jokester because I bought the mug. And it was from EB Game, and the guy was excited. The guy that was at the cash register to meet, someone that recognized it, knew what it was. He's like, "Oh, it's great. Just don't try to roll it, And I pretended to not know what Dungeons and Dragons was, and I pretended to not know that the mug that I was buying was a die for D&D. And he was like so deflated, I was like, "What?" He goes, "It's a dice." And I go, "It's a dice? Really?" And he was so upset. He was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm a little bit of a jokester, I guess. Oh, so Sven, so the movement in this is really simple. What this does is on awake, it assigns a starting position. So the starting position, it's setting a vector 3 value. A vector 3 contains 3 values, x, y, and z, or z if you're in Europe. And it records that. And intermittently, it's going to invoke repeating. And this is very simple. You can't really call this AI. I would call it automation. Automatonization. That's a cool word. I like it. I'm going to roll with that. So this is automatonization. And it's going to call this, it's going to repeat get new random position. And it's going to repeat that every so often. The minimum is 5 seconds plus an extra 2, either every 0. Let's just start it out. So all the Goobuddies move differently, but it's going to call it either every 6 or 12. So it's random between 6 and 12. Actually, I mean, this is silly. It shouldn't even be like that. You see 6 plus random 6? You should just do it like this. 6 and 12. There you go. I like putting the F there to make sure it's afloat. And of course, this one you can fix that by saying 0.5f and 2.5f. So it's going to call this function. It'll call it first at this time, and then either it's going to call it every 6 seconds or 6.5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is just so every Goobuddy behaves a little differently when it comes to timing. Let's go ahead and take a look at get new random position here. And what it's going to do is it's going to start out with your starting position. It knows what the starting position is because we took a record of the starting position earlier, and it just picks a new random spot. So it's going based on the range distance. Let's Control F that. And our range distance is 15. So he can move either plus 15x from where he started, minus 15x, or plus 15z, minus 15z. He can pick any point, so it's a square. He's basically picking a random spot within a square, and then he's going to move towards that. So that is going to set new values for target new position. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the target new position. We're going to perform this every step, or perform movement. So he's going to turn to face, and the distance to target is going to check the distance. So that's his starting position minus the target position. So his position in the world minus the target position is the distance. and he's going to turn to face. So what he's doing is he's turning to face that position, and he's going to, and this is the real, this one's doing all the work here. This is character controller.move, and earlier I mentioned what character controller was. You see this, that's my snow one. This capsule is my character controller. It allows me to not fall through the ground. It allows me to not go through trees. And so that is .move. So what we're doing is we are setting our movement, and the movement is set to forward. So whatever direction the character is facing, he's not able to move strafe or go backwards. He only moves forward, and he's multiplying it by the target speed. And the target speed, you can see we can lerp that, so we can raise the value up or we can lower the value. And lerping, what lerping does is it lets you change the value of something gradually over time. And what this is multiplying it by delta times, so that if the frame rate is inconsistent, the Goobuddy will still be moving at basically the same speed, even if the frame rate is not consistent. And we check the distance so that when the Goobuddy gets close to his position, we'll stop moving. If we didn't have this, if we took that out, then the Goobuddy, as it gets close to his spot, he'll just start freaking out. Let's take that out. Let's take out this code. This is very important. If we take this out, now let's watch what happens. It'll take a second for everything to compile, so I'll just click a couple times and wait for Unity to catch up. Let's see what happens. We'll see the characters freaking out. Any update on your dev room website? I'm working on that today. The reason why that one is behind is because I've been working on the Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss, and they use the same game engine, or game framework. And the framework on that is, I've been doing a massive amount of structural work, and so I need to finish all of the structural work on the Hero of Destiny, and I've just finished it as of yesterday. So now I take the framework from Hero of Destiny, and then I'm going to port that over. So there's going to be a massive, massive update to the Sungran Virtual Studio today. It's probably going to take me about 4 or 5 hours. You guys that are hanging out here at the channel, there's going to be more cameos. So yeah, if you hang out enough here at the channel, you can appear in my interactive dev log game, which you can play in the web browser, and there's going to be more playable characters. So even a number of the people that have cameos, like you guys commenting, people that have been playing my games for a long time, you guys are going to be playable. You'll have your own weapons and skills now, and I'm going to implement Buster Rooms. So there will be battle rooms properly in the next update for that. So let's see what happens. You see how I commented out some of the code? Thank you for not typing private before void in your methods. It's one of those things too many people do when it's private by default in C#. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's, unless you, maybe some people really, really just want to make sure people know that it's private. I don't know. See him? This is what's going wrong now. See how he's trying to get to that point? He keeps moving, but he's not able to turn fast enough, so he's circling around that point. Let's see what happens. Okay. But I think he's shifting to a different point so often that I don't think it matters really. There, here, see, he can't turn and reach his point fast enough, so he's going to keep moving. Now, if the turning speed was increased, what you would see happen was they would get extremely close to their target point, and then they would keep spinning around extremely quickly. So that's why it's important to have this code here. Oh man, I love C#, and I don't like using the word love recklessly, but I've used so many different languages, and C# is so good, is all I can say. C# does so much to make sure that stuff doesn't go wrong, and I feel spoiled, really spoiled that I get to use C#. It's so good. Okay, let's get back to, okay, So I hope that makes sense. Sven, does that make... was that interesting, explaining how the movement works? There is something I need to fix, actually, so I'll show you something. I'll show you something. Yeah, I will share the mug collection one day. It's cool. I think it's cool to have a gimmick mug. So look at this. I'm going to raise the Goobuddy up manually. And look what happens. He doesn't drop back down. And the reason why he doesn't drop back down is because I have not told the game that he has gravity. We understand the concept of gravity because we have an understanding of the real world. We know that things have to drop down. This is not the real world. It's basically a canvas, and things only happen if we tell it to happen. And we need to express the idea. We need to represent concepts of the real world because we understand it. This is just communication. It's an art form. And we need to be able to express that. So we need to make sure that logically, whatever baseline level of reality that we set as artists, as developers, the abstract normality, we need to make sure that it makes sense to people. And so now what I need to do, so movement is the value. This is a vector 3. What we're going to do is movement dot y, and this is so simple. This is one line of code, is equal to negative, what's gravity? 9.8 meters per second squared? I don't know. Okay, and this one line of gravity will allow the Goobuddy, that one line of code will allow the Goobuddy to have a sense of gravity. Again, it's not real gravity, you know, it's not real. But it makes it look, we look at it and then we think that it has gravity. What's going on here? Oh, there's a collider. He was in a collider. There we go. So now it conveys a sense that there is gravity in this world. Is he catching on something? There's hidden colliders in there that I am unaware of, is what's happening. What's going on? Something. Anyway. Let's start rigging up another guy. Oh, what version of Unity that? It's an old version, but it checks out. Sorry, I had to say it. It's the fastest one. 2017 is not that bad. Oh man, I have to tell you guys, an absolute nightmare. I don't like being negative. I don't like harping and mulling over on things that are negative. But there was a version of Unity, and I think it was one of the 2018 ones, and 2018 was broken. There was constant memory leaks. There was a version of 2018 where for some reason the Unity developers thought that this was a good idea, that when your editor crashes, it will reset all of your progress that you've done. Any scriptable objects that you've done, any changes to your rooms, any prefabs, when Unity crashes, it will reset it to the last time you started up Unity. Which means that when Unity crashes, all of the work that you've been done, if you've been working for 5 to 6 hours, all of that is reset. It's restored to the point when you first opened Unity. And that version of Unity was so unstable that it was constantly crashing for me. It was crashing every hour to an hour and a half for me, which means every time I made any progress, it would reset all of my scenes, all of my prefabs, all of my scriptable objects. I didn't even know that Unity could reset your scriptable objects. And I shouted at my computer. I almost broke a keyboard in half when I understood. It took me a couple days to understand what was going on. And I was going to scream because I was working on a deadline, and it was an absolute nightmare. And I don't know how that passed. I don't know how the developers at Unity could go, this is a good idea. We should reset whatever progress you've made. Let's reset all of it to when you first opened Unity. Oh my god, I can't. Thinking about it makes me angry, so I'm not going to harp on about it. It's such a nightmare. I can't even think about it. Like, I'm getting upset thinking about it. How's it going? Here today, gone tomorrow. Will there be any weapons/tools in the environment? Someone may have asked already. No, there won't be any weapons or tools, but this is why I want the Kickstarter to succeed, because the Kickstarter will allow me to spend more time. I can implement some ideas that I wanted to work on, but I'm running out of time. I've got to get my games shipped. There is a whole family line of Goobuddies, so that's 13 Goobuddies that are just weapons. And here's the idea for 2 of them. Here's the young stage, and the family line for that would be weapon. And all of the Goobuddies in this family line are weapons. So they are typical normal Goobuddies, just like everyone else, but there's a mechanic where other Goobuddies can use the weapon Goobuddies. So here's an example of that here. Here is Mega Mecha. This is in the multi-family line. I think the multi-family line's my favorite because I can make designs like this. These guys make me laugh. I love this guy. I love this guy. Look at these guys. This one might be my favorite design of all. I know, it was like 1:30, 2 a.m. at night. This was not a design that I planned ahead of time, but I work very late. And when you work late and you're tired and you don't get a lot of sleep, your inhibitions start disappearing. And I was working on something else in the game. I was programming, and then it was like 2 a.m. thought. I went, you know, it'd be so cool is a Goobuddy that's like a sunny side up eggs. And so I just grabbed my tablet, and I go, I have to do this right now. And I came up with this. This design makes me laugh. Very excellent design. Thank you very much. So this one makes me happy. But yeah, so if the Kickstarter succeeds, I will be able to create the weapon family line of Goobuddies. I've already mapped out exactly what they're going to be, and you'll be able to do battles where your weapon Goobuddies, you can team up. You can make them team up, and you get a stat boost, of course, and there'll be different weapons. So yes, there are weapons, and the weapons are other Goobuddies, but there aren't things like going around and picking up swords. Because the Goobuddies themselves are already very powerful. They themselves are the weapon. But this, I think, this to me is just a cool idea. You know, I think a lot of you are like me. I think a lot of you like monsters. You like cool stuff. And I think a lot of you also grew up, you know, with Transformers, Power Rangers, Digimon. I want stuff to combine. I want to smash stuff together. So when I was very young, I had a green sack of toys, and that's where I kept my Happy Meal toys, and that was my Smash Bros. I didn't care what series things came from. I put all the toys together, and then they would have massive, big battles. So that's how I played with toys when I was a kid. So I think that part of how I enjoy media has never left me. I think that's why I enjoy Smash Bros. So much, and I think that's why I want to do this, why I want to have the weapon Goobuddies. And I need more ways to have the Goobuddies be able to carry the weapons. I'm changing the roster a little bit. I have a little bit of space here. I'm actually okay, don't tell anyone, you guys. I'm taking this one out because I want to do another. I want another Goobuddy with arms. So this one is going to be a lost design, and I actually do have a plan. If I do a future Goobuddies game, I do want one where they're all based on plants. So say goodbye. This is the last time you guys are going to see this one. Goodbye. He'll be in his own, a different family line. Ooh, Arm Buddy. It's all arms. That's a good idea. He should have multiple arms. That's it. Ray, thank you. I was going to do one with just 2 arms, but since you've said Arm Buddy, I'm going to do one with 4 arms. His 4 arms will have 4 arms on them. These are lost designs. You guys can see these. This one didn't make it. Sorry, buddy. This is one of the... I was going to suggest Venus Flytrap here today, gone tomorrow. You got it. I always like a Venus Flytrap in a game. Something about a plant that eats stuff. That's so cool to me. I like that. My favorite plants are the carnivorous ones, and I'll show you. I'm not posing as a plant enthusiast. I'm going to prove my plant enthusiast cred right here. This Goobuddy is based on a sundew, and a sundew is a carnivorous plant that has these follicles at the end, and it has a sweet scent that insects are drawn to. And when the hairs of the sundew are stimulated by insect presence, the follicles slam shut like a hammer, and they close in on the insect. And so this is designed after a sundew. And I said I I'm leaning away from basing the Goobuddies on things in real life, but there's nothing wrong with creating some designs that are inspired by things in the real world. Mostly, though, I try to keep things not based on the real world. Like, these kind of designs are my favorite ones. The weird ones, these are my favorite ones. Let me bring up a picture of a sundew. There's all different kinds of sundew. I was primarily taking inspiration from this one. I like these things. You guys, when you go hiking, these are so small, right? You can pass by these things, but the next time you go out hiking, if you're in an area that has water, look around, because these things are extremely cool. If you look at these up close, they're really, really fascinating. I like these things. This is what I like. I like plants. So no, I'm not a plant poser. I do actually like plants. These things are cool. You could look at these all. This is fascinating to me. Look at this weird stuff. It is crazy looking. I like these things. They're neat. And that to me, this thing has the same energy as a Venus flytrap. And I'm a big Venus flytrap fan. I had some when I was a teenager. I could not keep it alive. I couldn't do it. I've heard from many people that have tried. All have failed. Oh no, I've had a friend that was able to keep Venus flytraps alive. He had a bunch. So, what is the name of the Pokemon that is based on one? Carnivine. I do like Carnivine. You know what? I'm going to show how much I actually do really like Pokemon. This is such a deep cut. I don't know, and I'm going to complain here. I don't know why Carnivine is able to participate in Sky Battles in X and Y. He's a plant type. He's the only He's the only plant type that can participate in Sky Battles, and he's at a massive disadvantage because everything is super effective. And the fact that Carnivine can participate in Sky Battles is hilarious and sad. And I had a Carnivine in that run, so I wanted to use him in Sky Battles, and I got destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. So there we go. Are you thinking of adding some sort of hair to future buddies, or maybe a dirty look to some? No. No hair on the Goobuddies. There's a very specific design philosophy that I'm adhering to for Goobuddies. There's no hard parts unless it's part of their unique mutation, and there's no hair because hair is too visually dense. There's a very strict level of visual density that I want to stick to when it comes to Goobuddies. It's what gives them an identifiable aesthetic. It makes them look soft and friendly and approachable. And adding hair to it would start pushing it towards realism. And even if I did like cartoony fur and hair, it goes against the idea of goo. Goo shouldn't have hair. Because hair needs hair follicles. And hair follicles are on skin. So yeah, I'll share these designs. These won't be in the game. These are cut. This is one of the few, very, very few situations where I thought of a design and I put the concept on the canvas. I created it and I looked at it and I thought, that's not how I want it to look. It's not as good as how I wanted it to look. Every single other design, and it takes years of hard work of improving your skill as an artist, because, and not every day is a good day as an artist. Some days you have a bad day where you make it and you think that I did a bad job. This does not look good. It's not how I want it to look. It's not how I envisioned it. Out of all of these designs, every single one is exactly how I envisioned it. Every single one except this one. This is the one design where I made it and I thought, that's not how I want that to look. So I'm batting 78 out of 79. There's 79 designs here. Actually, no, there's more than 79 because those are discarded. So I'm batting 79 for 80, probably, I think is what that is. And I don't feel good. You could try and keep changing it and adding it. Victory Bell. Oh, no, Victory Bell's a pitcher plant. And I do like pitcher plants as well. Pitcher plants are awesome. It's marketable the way you've set it up. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's I just wanted to make something that looks fun to look at. Something really satisfying. These things are fun to me. I like this. Okay, let's go ahead and rig up. This is I look how satisfying this drippiness. This is one of the later designs that I've done. There's a couple here where I'm still fine tuning and changing some of them, but I wanted these just to be satisfying to look at, and I like this. We'll go goo green. I like that. Yeah, that's satisfying to me. And the Mantis, I remember what I was watching when I was sculpting Mantis. I had the old Goosebumps playing, and I put a playlist on YouTube, Goosebumps, from the 90s, and it was the episode where they go to Horrorland, and it's the family. So that was playing as I was sculpting Mantis. You know, I'm putting the little details on them. So it's funny. Sometimes I remember what I was watching when I was creating the designs. I love the Mantis. This, oh man, I'm so pleased with how this turned out. It's the carapace, I think, really sells it. The goo extending from the sides of the carapace. And this is the design of the design philosophy of Goobuddies, is they're made of goo. So you can see the how it gets round and heavy, like it feels like the goo there is heavier and it's pulling down on the mass. You look at his feet and you see the goo pooling at the bottom, you know, the goo dripping down, you know, sort of forming this heavy mass at the bottom. That's something that I'm trying to keep consistent throughout all of the designs here, especially when it comes to Blimp. I really like Blimp. This is this is these are the designs I want to do. You know, any other monster game can do, let's combine two animals together, let's make an elemental animal. I want to do the opposite of that. I like that. Obviously, I'm not saying that's unoriginal, because I like that a lot. But I want Goobuddies to explore a different creative route. And something like this, I think, there's infinite possibilities for the designs that you can create. Like, this one's Saturn, and something about this derpy little guy, I just love this. You know, and this animates, this this rotates like that. I don't know, something like that really appeals to me. I think that's so fun. Is the goo drip stay or sort of replace itself as it moves? It stays in place. You know, it's part of their body. It's not going to sort of drip and fall off. That would be kind of a nightmare for me to animate. It would be you know, I can be honest with you guys. That's not something I'm particularly experienced at, is having that come off and drip and whatnot. And sure, I can do it. They're eventually, if I wanted to spend the time, I can figure out a solution for that. But it's not something that I've done before. This is a fun little guy. Let's take a look at this. I don't think I've shared this before. This is Copter. I need to change his eye, the eye hole area. I'm going to change. I really dislike that. I'm just going to smoothen it out. I gave it too much definition. I broke one of my own rules, you know. And there's too much definition in the eye area for this particular design, and it turned out in a way that I don't like. But this guy uses his slime to fly. It's the bubbles on Saturn. On Saturn, yeah. The idea of Copter is cool, though. Yeah, I like this. I like that. So he'll be significantly cuter. I think I messed up on that. Put too much detail, so I'm going to change that. These are planets or satellite or moons. Planets. I'll get my words eventually. Yeah, I meant for those to be his satellites, his moons. I like this. So, are the rare variants moist instead of shiny? Actually, I'll show you what, you know. And that's a good question. It's funny. We want rare variants. We want shiny stuff. It's crazy, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any value, but because it's rare, we want it. How do you come up with ideas, XD, as a Goocopter? With this game specifically, I love creature design, right? Like, I love watching movies, especially from the 70s and 80s, where creature features were huge. I just love a fictional creature. And so with Goobuddies, my core objective is to make something that's fun to look at. And outside of that, beyond making something that's fun to look at, I want Goobuddies to be fun to think about. And I'm not sure how many artists or developers consider that. But for me, for Goobuddies specifically, every single design, I want them to be fun to look at and to be fun to think about. And that's why I love the multifamily. I love this one. I think they're fun to think about. Like, oh, they're stuck together. That's kind of cute. Um, how this guy kind of has existential dread on his face, you know? I think that's fun to look at. So when I'm making the designs, I'm thinking about what would be fun to look at, what would be fun to think about, and I've set the rules for this world. And the rules for these characters, they seem like they should be restrictive, right? Every character is made of goo. Every character excretes slime in some way. So not every character has slime as part of their design, but some of them do have slime as part of their design, and I want there to be at least some degree of internal logic to where, how do these characters fly? How do they stay in the air? And so for this one, his internal logic is that he's got a balloon, and he uses his slime to hang on to the balloon, but the balloon is still part of his body. And here's the main part of his body. So that is the internal logic. So I have the rules, and I'm free to explore within the bounds of those rules. And what's fun about exploring your own rules that you've set for a project is finding the limits of your creative boundaries. How close can you get to the limit of your creative boundary without breaking it? And for me, that is the thought process of creating Goobuddy designs, is how weird can I make these things? How cute, how funny can I make them? How cool can I make them without breaking the rules that I've set? And so that's what we've got. You know what? We're doing it. We're doing Kraken. We are going to rig up Kraken. I made this design as a response to a number of designs in a row. I think I was really trying to make myself laugh. So I'd done designs that I thought were extremely funny. And then I did a bunch in a row, and then I took a step back, and then I thought, I think I better do some that I think are cool now, just cool, instead of trying to make them funny. All of them have a DSM-V personality disorder. Yeah, some of them, I give them expressions where they just look haunted, absolutely haunted. Oh, you were asking about the rare variants. So there's no shiny in this game, but you can have bichromaticism. And so we'll run the game. Let's just look at it. It can generate helium from hydrogen. Ooh, yes, I like that logic. I like it very much. Explorer David, hello human beings. Hey David, how's it going? Good to see you. New Zealand had a huge influence on horror in the 2000s. Black Sheep is a Kiwi movie. I don't know if that's my favorite Kiwi movie because I really like What We Do in the Shadows. That's my favorite Kiwi movie. Rendier, how's it going? Figured I'd ask again, is there a reason number of characters were prioritized before mechanics like combat were pretty far in development? Oh, okay. This person's just here to be rude and troll. I've explained in a lot of videos all of the combat mechanics, so it is extremely complex. There's a lot going on in the combat system, and I've done a number of videos explaining and showing all of that, but I can't program that stuff until I know if the combat system can be multiplayer over an ad hoc connection. So if I can have console-to-console connections to do battles, if I can connect over online, I don't think we're going to hit that goal. So that means that I can start programming that part of the combat system. But I cannot program the battle system until I know, unless it's going to be non-multiplayer or multiplayer or not. There's a huge amount to the combat system, and I've done a bunch of videos talking about all of that. I've shown how you have various transformation states, how it affects all of the different stats. There's a lot of different moves here. There isn't really a need to be rude, Rendier. I've been very respectful to you in all of our exchanges, and I'm going to keep being respectful to you. You've been extremely rude, and that's totally fine. It doesn't bother me. I'll be respectful to you, because that's my choice to be so. Okay, so bichromaticism, you see this guy has antlers, and your mutation on your Goobuddy will always be the exact same color as the Goobuddy itself. But bichromaticism is this game's version of shiny, where the mutation can be a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and edit my save data, and we will see what it looks like to have bichromaticism. Actually, where's my PS5 controller? So far away right now. We're going to edit the save data, and then we'll see what bichromaticism looks like. Let's see here. Where's my core? Maybe one that you can break apart into smaller Goobuddies and reform back to original size, like slime mold. Oh man, that's a cool idea. I really like that. That would be a cool idea for some sort of future mechanic. I really like that. Let's look at my save data. Sometimes when I'm testing, I get rare loot drops. I really like the idea of rare loot drops as rewards for doing missions and things like that. And sometimes I'm testing my games and I get a really good drop. What I really like is equipment that has skills attached to it, so that when you get the equipment drop, it can have a random skill attached, and the skill can be something that can change your playstyle, that can be extremely interesting. And sometimes I'm testing it and I get a great loot drop and I think, oh man, I'm going to lose this loot drop because I'm still developing the game and then I have to erase the save data. And it's a real bummer when I have to erase my save data. Is this the guy that we're looking at? Okay, what do we have? I need to look at the save data. I haven't looked at this in a while. We're looking at the save data. Is it special mutation color? -1 second. Barrier. I leave a lot of extra room because I love complex battle systems. I leave a lot of room in case I want to implement something in the future. Don't tell anybody. This is a secret. For some reason, I've left in the save data here, I've left a value for having a secondary element for your Goobuddy. Anyway, I'm just going to change these values here. I'm going to randomly change these and see what happens. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Okay, right, BRB. People like swimsuits and cat ears might be good drops. There won't be a lot of... There isn't really going to be stuff that you equip to the Goobuddy, because I want the focus to be on their genetics. Their genetics are really everything that contributes to the battle. And it's all about having a focused vision for this. It really is all about the battles. It's about solving a puzzle. It's about building a team specifically to deal with those requirements for the battle. And all of that should come down to the genetics of the Goobuddy. Once you start introducing other items, it begs the question, shouldn't they have an effect in battle? And then you start considering other things. You start thinking, oh, then it's more about giving items to the Goobuddies. It's more about equipping things. And everything about this, I want it to be about the genetics of the Goobuddies, the way that they're born, what they're able to learn in terms of their capabilities. So that's why there's not going to be equipable stuff. Eugenics. So you can see an example of the bichromaticism. So this is extremely rare. I still don't know what the probability will be. Well, I haven't decided. But you can see that before his antlers were white, but now they are the color of a different element. If we change it again, Phantom, Magic, let's change it to 14 and see what happens. The Master Goo. Yes! Oh, yeah. Check it out. He's got Phantom antlers now. So this is what bichromaticism is. This is this game's version of shiny, and it's also what allows your Goobuddy to look more unique. I want these Goobuddies to feel like they're yours, that they are your friend, that they're unique to you, that they're your buddy. So bichromaticism will be pretty rare, and yeah, that's what it'll look like. I'm going to leave that. I'm leaving it. It's my save data. I can do what I want with it. Very cool. I like that. Okay, let's start rigging this up. It might make the whole thing too huge, but skill trees a la Skyrim would be nice. This is different, right? because there has to be a limit to the ceiling in terms of complexity. So there's I'll boot it up. I actually there is a little bit of a skill tree. So your Goo Buddy can learn different battle actions, right? And there's a certain number of actions that are based on its element. There's 15 elements, and there's certain battle actions that are exclusive to their element. When you keep training and raising them, they will naturally learn a couple moves from that element, but only a limited number. So they cannot learn all of the moves, and it's random what they learn. So you won't know if they're going to get Flamethrower or Fireball or Flame Shield. You don't know. And so that little bit of randomness adds some excitement to it, because you don't really know what your Goo Buddy will learn. So there is a reward for continually raising more and more and more, because you're trying to get certain types of Goo Buddies. And to me, that it adds a sense of what that is philosophically saying is you don't really have control over your child or your pet. You do the best job that you can do, and there's going to be some degree of your child is going to grow up without you to some degree. They're going to learn things on their own. And so that was my philosophy when it came to learning skills like that. And that's a little bit, it's not really a skill tree, but it's sort of branched abilities that they can learn. I want there to be a very training base and a very strict philosophy when it comes to learning moves. I want you to have control over a certain amount. So when you go to training here, it's chugging, it's OBS is putting attacks in thing. You can go to the training and you can learn certain actions here. And this is stuff that can be extremely useful. Eat is an ability where when your Goo Buddy does eat, then the next time the enemy tries to hit him with a projectile, he'll eat the projectile. And there's a different kind of eat as well. It's a stronger eat where it can eat bigger projectiles. So there are projectile sizes in combat. So in combat, again, a lot of abilities are projectile based. It'll say ball, ball, bullet. Those are projectiles. Those are combat types. Or projectile types and different sizes. And if your Goo Buddy has used eat, then if the enemy uses slime ball, your Goo Buddy will eat that slime ball. It saves him from taking damage, and then you'll restore some health. We have a troll on the channel here that left one comment here. He keeps saying things like, this is not a minimum viable product and your combat system has no mechanics. And I've made a number of videos explaining all of the complex mechanics. So I try to have respectful conversations, and I give people the benefit of a doubt, and I want to treat people with respect. And sometimes people they don't care. They don't care that you're trying to be respectful. They don't care that you're treating them like a human. And some people are like that. I'm going to keep treating people with respect, and I will treat people like they're human beings because they deserve it. But it's obvious that I've put a massive amount of consideration into creating a combat system that's designed for people who want something interesting and complex. Because that's what I like in a combat system. In Digimon games for the Nintendo DS, oh man, I played a bunch of them, but they all kind of blend together for me. I played a bunch at the same time, and you shouldn't do that. You should not play a bunch together, because, well, no, I think that's wrong. I think it's fine. It's fine if you let them together. What matters is that you have a positive experience. And I think I played all the Skylander games together. They don't blend together for me the way that the Digimon games did on the DS, because of the physical aspect of Skylanders, because of the portals, and then there's certain gimmick Skylanders. I think that's why the Skylander games don't blend together for me. But I love, sometimes I'll just get lost in monster games. Man. Watching numbers go up is really satisfying. Let's watch numbers go up real quick. Let's do some... So if we do... Let's do Woodchop. We'll watch a number go up. His stats right now... Power is 10, right? Digimon Games has a type, like Dragonfly and Dark, and you get EXP of that type. And for example, do Digivolve to Devimon, you need 1000 Dark EXP. Whoa! Yeah, I like that system. His power went up by 2. Yep, we can see the power went up. I love numbers going up. But here's the thing. I have plans for Goobuddies. I'm creating these assets in a way to where I can use them in future games as well. So I do want games of different gameplay styles. I've already done all the documentation and planning for it. There's going to be Goobuddy games where it's open world exploration and you're just running around in a massive open environment and you're still raising Goobuddies but in a different way. And in future games there could be skill trees. You could be raising Goobuddies in a way that's more similar to, you know, a Western RPG where you have different ways to raise and grow your Goobuddies. What I had planned was to create these characters in a way to where they can be used in different gameplay styles, different genres, and I can keep exploring this world. The lore of this world is everything is based on Goo, and I'll show you the sort of requests here. So there's different elements, right? And in the lore that I've written for this, it's stuttered a bit there. In the lore that I've written, all of the slime is used as the technology. The technology in this world is slime-based, it's goo-based. So, say for example, fire. Fire slime is harvested from the Goobuddies. My controller, I can't reach it. Fire is how people cook food in this world. Fire is how people stay warm in the wintertime. They don't have fireplaces, you know, where they put fire. They have fireplaces where they put the fire slime, and that gives off heat. You have, for example, ice is how people stay cold. In the summertime, ice is how they power their air conditioning. Poison is actually used to make medicine and antidotes. Light slime. They don't have light bulbs in this world, they have light slime. And so they slime goo ranchers. You're a monster keeper in this. You ranch the Goobuddies, and that's what the requests are, is people are buying slime off of you, and so you harvest the slime the same way that you milk a cow. And you have the light, is people put it, you know, in a little jar, and that's their light bulb, and, you know, it lasts a certain amount of time. And that's how I've imagined this world. And I think it's such a weird, it's such a fun idea to explore, to think, okay, so how do people use gold slime? How do people use magic slime? So I've written all of these down in my notes, and this game doesn't have a huge amount of story because that's not what it's about. And I want to have the lore and the story ready for when I do create Goobuddy games of other gameplay genres. All of that lore will be consistent. It'll still be there. My idea was a worm who absorbs other creatures and gets stronger depending on the DNA. He gets more defense or growing claws for more attack, kind of like that. That's an awesome idea, like an osmosis thing. Now I will explain to you what there's Goliath and there's Colossus. What the Colossus are. The Colossus are giant Goobuddies, and I'm not showing them, and I think I'm going to avoid showing them in the marketing because I want people to discover and encounter these on their own. Colossus are giant Goobuddies that have absorbed other Goobuddies. And that's like a taboo. It's kind of like, you know, you're not supposed to do that, right? And what a Colossus is something that is genetically unstable because a bunch of Goobuddies got close. Hey, Lone Wolfie, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. A Colossus Goobuddy, well, they're not your buddy anymore. They're a Goobaddy at that point. And a Colossus is a bunch of Goobuddies that have sort of, for some reason or another, merged together into a big creature, and that big Goobaddy started absorbing other Goobuddies. And so they're very dangerous. There's, you know, it's not, I'm not trying to make this game like, oh, it's happy and everything's so happy. I think a good story has different dynamics to it. And so a Colossus is that. It broke the rules of Goobuddies, and it's been eating and absorbing other Goobuddies, and it's become giant and unstable. So these are the biggest creatures in the... Actually, no. In the lore, I've written there are creatures bigger than Colossus. There are Leviathans as well, and there's creatures bigger than that, and I've saved that for future games, but I planned it all out ahead of time. Goobaddy goes hard. Yeah, I like that. Well, we'll go into a battle real quick, and I'll just show you. I love the idea of the bad Goobuddies looking different, and so I've created different eye types for it, so it's easily identifiable. Hold on, something's. Oh, I've got a. I was doing the 3DS. I was putting it on the 3DS, optimizing it a little bit, and then I took something out. What we'll do is we'll open up the battle system. Okay. Actually, Colossus idea sounds so awesome, and please implement the word Goobaddy somewhere. Oh yeah, absolutely. The in this world, the bad Goobuddies are referred to Goobaddies. But the idea for a Colossus actually existed from the very beginning, 100%. Very beginning, my idea for Goobuddies was raising goo creatures and then fighting for the purpose of fighting a giant creature. And the giant creature was always going to be, this is a Goobuddy that went wrong. It went so wrong. And so they're not going to be as, like, these are approachable designs, right? These are friendly, they're cute. Most of them, you know, are just, I tried to make them as adorable as possible. And then the Colossus are ugly, and they're amorphous, and they're quite, you know, they don't have a cool design to them because they're genetically unstable. They've eaten a bunch of different Goobuddies. Yeah, let's do this one. I saw you were missing a few bucks, so I just backed Goobuddies. I hope it helps. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That really means a lot. I honestly wasn't sure if people were going to back the Kickstarter because I know that I'm not very good at doing a Kickstarter campaign. Um, but I just want to make something awesome for people, and I don't know why I'm moving my hands so much. I've been watching a lot of Mr. Ballin lately, so I don't know if that's why my hands are all over the place. I don't know if maybe I'm Italian. Okay, there. Oh, something has there. I did notice a glitch here. There is a small glitch. These are the Goobaddies, right? One of them has normal eyes. He's not supposed to have that. So I'm going to put this on my dev notes. You see how his eyes are black? They're not supposed to be that way. All of the Goobaddies have eyes that look upsetting, right? I think these are eyes that are cursed. Absolutely cursed. So I think there's maybe 7 different eye types for the Goobaddies because I want the Goobaddies to look different as well. I don't want you to... We all know the feeling of 100 Zubats, right? Fighting the exact same Zubat over and over and over again. It's not fun. And so even the Goobaddies, you don't see it here, but the Goobaddies also will be able to have their own mutations. So they'll have the physical mutations, and they'll also have eye mutations, the same way that your team can have their mutations and their different eye colors. And something like this to me is cool. I think this is neat. It makes it interesting. Does Unity have an implemented notebook function, or is pen and paper the way to go? I'm not sure what you mean by that. What do you mean by notebook function? Goobuddies is backed. Really? I haven't looked at it. I'll open the Kickstarter and see. How do I... What's my login here? Where did I got it? I'll click on it. I'm clicking on it. I click it. And here's the thing, like, yes, it's over the line. That's really exciting. That's really fantastic. Thank you, everyone. You've all been so incredible. You've been so awesome. Um, Something that bums me out a little bit is that you cannot have the iBaddie colors. And I'll show it to you here. I can show you because we're hanging out here. And that bums me out as a gamer. You know, as a developer, I'm torn, right? As a developer, you have to set the rules, you have to follow the rules. And as a gamer, I want more. I want it all, man. So I'll show you the baddies. So you have red, you have red beady. Oh, that's kind of cool. You have red double. And these are the eye baddie colors. You have white, white 2. Let's see, yellow. That's cool. You know, sometimes I forget I do stuff. I work so fast that I often forget work that I've done. I forgot that I did this yellow eye color. Yellow. So that was yellow. We have yellow beady. Let's give these guys 2 different eye colors. That's creepy too, isn't it? The beady ones are creepy. And then yellow, red. Oh man, yeah. So these are all the different eye colors that the enemies have. And this at least, you know, the Goobuddies also have different attacks. Like, they're not always going to have the exact same attacks over and over again. So it will feel like the enemies are different because they are actually different. That was my goal. Thank you so much for all of the help. It really means a lot. To me, this is the most passion project I've ever done because I love monster games so much. And the entire time I've been making this, at the front of my head, I'm thinking, this is something people would like. People would love this. People would love this. So every single thing that I've done here has been entirely, I've been thinking, people would love this. And I think I think the eye baddie color is the one situation where I had to draw the line and I said, no, your Goobuddies cannot have those, because then it would mean that they're no longer associated with the bad guys. And it's like, oh man, it would be so cool if you could have your guys have these eye colors, especially this one. This one's really, that one's cool. You have a winner. If you got an idea you want to not forget, you can write it down somewhere in Unity for use later. That's very good. Sven, I like that. Unity does not have that from anything that I've seen, but surely someone could make an extension for Unity. There's a lot of extensions you can get on the Unity Assets store, and surely someone could make that's such a great idea. I have OneNote constantly open. Tim, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Please let us make Monokuma buddies. Man, here's the thing. Here's what. Okay, okay. Because you're so awesome, and I really like seeing your profile picture. We'll do it here. I'll show it to you. Here we go. Here's what we'll do. Let me grab one that we haven't. Let's see. We've seen this guy a lot, right? Like, this is kind of a pretty identifiable Goobuddy here. I'll show you how. As a developer and as an artist, you have to be able to do anything. And I'm not saying that, you know, as a big fluffy, wuffy, do anything, be anything, no limits, Jaguar ad rebrand. You have to be able to take what is in your mind and make it exist. And in order to do that, you need to have an understanding of the art form in which you are engaging, and you need to have a very strong understanding of the tools which you use to create your craft. And you have to be able to do anything. So I say that because I enjoy hanging out, I enjoy hearing from you, and just because you've been so awesome, I'll show you how it would work. So, right now Goobuddies can only have one material, and a material allows the game engine to use a shader to render it. What I'm going to do is now split that up. So we've seen this Goobuddy plenty of times. I'm going to assign a new material, and this is just a little trick that has now split the Goobuddy into allowing me as a developer to assign a second material to it. Export all. And we are now going to export this as ladlit split. Real V2K, it's great to see you. Thanks for all the help. Thank you for support. Thank you. This has been a massive team effort. It's so awesome to have a team working behind me. It feels like there's just Goo Gang. We are the Goo Gang, I think is what it is. I don't like giving people like family names and, you know, and oh, give your audience a name. I don't really like that because it feels like you're whipping people up into a cult. But this is not a cult. This is an actual team where we got Goobuddies to cross the finish line. We're the Goo Gang. Okay. So we're gonna put Ladlit in here now. 180 because you've asked. This could be a backer reward. You know how I was just saying in the save data, hey, the shelter, is this Unity? Yes, yes. This is an old version of Unity. I use an old version of Unity because it's fast. It's very fast for development. And that means that it doesn't lag. Newer versions of Unity are kind of sluggish and they lag. So I just want to make sure I get my normals. Just smoothing out those normals here. So because earlier in the stream I showed the save data, and I often leave a lot of extra entries in the save data because I think in the future I might want to implement a feature. And I said in the save data, I already have it in the save data to where there's room for a second element. Your Goobuddy could have a second element. And so because that's already in the save data, potentially this could be a feature. But it would require a significant amount of extra work from me. But it actually, because you've said that, Tim, this actually is possible to have split element dual type Goobuddies. This is physically possible. But it would take a huge amount of work from me, and it's not in my my planning documentation. It's not part of it. Maybe the split element could be maybe if we add like an extra, just like a little, sort of like a little stretch goal, right? Maybe we can add one in, a little stretch goal. Is this what you wanted? Were you looking for this? Does this meet your expectations? And you know, and this is, I want this channel to feel like we're hanging out, like, and I don't like using the word friend because it's very manipulative, and I've seen so many YouTube channels use the word friend and call people friend, and then they'll ask people for money, and I hate that. I really, and I don't use the word hate very often. I hate that. It's manipulative. And so I never use the word friend when we're here, because I think of you guys as co-workers. I want to be respectful to all of you, and I don't like the way that people are manipulative. So I think of you guys as co-workers, but I want the channel to feel like you're hanging out with friends talking about video games. That's what I want this place to be. There. And so because, you know, because I value you guys being here, you know, we can do stuff like this. This is fun. Let's run the let's run the physics animation on it. This would take, you know, I've done it here, but in order to implement it so that it's accessible in the game, so that the player has a way to access it, it would take a significant amount of extra work. You know what? I'll add a little stretch goal. I'll add a sub-stretch goal. I'll modify the campaign after we finish this, and then I'll add this. Because it's fun hanging out with you guys. So if you guys haven't tried it yet, my virtual studio, he's a little too gooey, isn't he? Yeah, but you can see it, you know, I would have to make adjustments, you know, but there we go. It can work. So I have a virtual studio that's a game that you can play in your web browser for free. It's just a way to have fun, and I can share what I'm working on with you guys in an interactive space. But you guys have started to appear in that virtual studio. It's like an action adventure top down. It's just a virtual studio. Go check it out. Play it. I'm updating that. So I'm taking about 4 or 5 hours today after the stream. I will be updating the virtual studio. There's going to be a lot more content. There's more cosmetics for you to explore. There's sometimes guest characters, you know, from other video game series that they just show up as little cameos. But there's going to be more Goobuddy stuff, and I'm going to add the Christmas theme to that as well. So it's going to be a massive work day for me. I have to update the virtual studio. What a fun buddy. Hold on, hold on. No, no, you know what we need? Is this right? Did I get that right? Now that's right. I think we did it, everyone. Okay. That was fun. I actually really like that. So you see, it is possible. It's possible, but it would take some time to implement all of that. Because you can see that actually broke the rig. I can't just drop that in. So all the Goobuddies that I've done, you know, it's just do the work. You don't complain. But I had to redo a new one because when you split the Goobuddy up like that, it changed the way that it's rigged. So I can't just replace the mesh. Let's go ahead and rig up Kraken. This used to be a nightmare. In my Silver Falls games, I created monster designs because I really like monsters from the 80s and the 70s as well. But the 80s is where we really, you know, had massive explosion of cool monsters. You know, you think The Thing, you know. And my game series, Silver Falls, is a horror series, and I was trying to make just cool monsters, right? Cool cryptids. And I didn't consider how complex it would be, how time-consuming it would be to animate all of the tentacles. And so I made a lot of tentacles, and I made so much work for myself. It's a nightmare animating tentacles keyframe one at a time, and I did not use any physics simulation when it came to the tentacles in Silver Falls. So I had to spend a lot of time doing that. What we're going to do is we're going to flatten out the bottom on this guy. We're going to put some bones inside of him, and we're going to rig it up. Rig it up. So because I'm going to keep the keyframe animation for tentacles, I'm keeping them to a minimum because they're hugely, hugely time consuming. And as you can see, there's a lot of work that has to be done for these characters. I have a lot of characters to do, and I'm a solo developer, which means that I can't afford to spend that much time on the tentacle animation. So I'm going to combine keyframe animation with physics simulation, and that will allow me to create animations that are still interesting, still expressive, but I won't be spending too much time keyframe animating all of that. I'm trying to flatten the bottom of it just enough. Okay. So if the music's too loud or too quiet, you can let me know and I'll adjust it. Okay, let's go ahead and check that. I don't want it to intersect, but that's fine. That's plenty fine. Okay. I've never done much online interacting, partly because of the dichotomy of real life versus online. Reversed intimacy throws me off. I try to not use the internet that much because it can change the way that you think in a very negative way. I think you make a lot of sense, you know, and I don't. The problem with interacting with people online is it conditions you to think that people have no value. It conditions us to think that people are nothing more than text on a screen, and it makes us think that it's okay for us to treat people like shit. It makes us think it's okay to view people as less valuable, to objectify them, because that is just how it is on the internet. That's how it's turned out, and it's really disappointing. And I refuse to be disrespectful to other people. I refuse to insult other people on the internet. And I've had, you know, earlier in the chat, we've had one person. Everyone here has been so awesome. And we had one person that intermittently comments just to say disrespectful things and to be insulting. And that's fine. That's person's right to do it. But I refuse to be insulting to that person, because the person that came here to insult me, to say, you know, your game sucks, that person is not words on a screen. That person is not text on a screen. That's a real person, and that person has their own life, That person has their own things going on, and it's not my place and it's not my right to make that person's day worse by saying something shitty to them. So you can choose to be shitty to other people, you can choose to make somebody else's day worse, or you can choose to make somebody else's day better. And my choice, and it's my right to make this choice, is I would like to make somebody's day better. And that is my overall goal, that's my intention in life. I would like to make somebody's day better. So that's why I refuse to, and I know that on the internet you're supposed to respond when other people are shitty to you, you're supposed to be shitty back. You're supposed to be mean and insulting, and I refuse to do it. So I know that I think that frustrates people because they want me to say something mean and negative in return, because it's like, that's how the internet, you're supposed to do it. And so I'm doing the internet wrong, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. Okay, what we're going to do, so there's no way to animate this, right? We cannot move this. This is a static mesh. You can't do anything with that other than change the vertices, and this is a nightmare. I think this is how they animated Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation. You see how I'm changing the vertices? So you can animate this way, but it is not scalable, and your workflow needs scalability. You can animate this way, but you will not be the same person afterward. A part of you will die. A part of you, the best part of you, will no longer be there. If you try to animate an entire game through vertex transformation, you won't be the same person. And so these days we use bones, and what bones do, well, they're referred to as joints. I call them bones because they are bones. They allow us to attach parts of they allow us to transform the position of the vertices by transforming the bones. And the bones are much more manageable. It is a much more manageable, scalable workflow. So that's why we do it. It's important. You do the internet wrong, but the human's right. I'd rather be a human. That's why I say I'm a human in my video. One, because it's funny. And secondly, because that's my goal. My goal is not to be a YouTuber. I have no interest in popularity. I had a bunch of people last year that got really mad at me because they wanted my channel to be like they wanted me to make hate content, and they wanted me to like make fun of certain groups of people on the internet, and they didn't understand what I was saying. And that I was speaking out against anti-corporate practices, and they thought I was, oh, yeah, I hate those people too. And it got to a point where I had to put my foot down and say, that's not what I'm making, and you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say entirely. Yeah, and I there have been times in my life where I just was not a good enough listener, and so I just want to try to listen better. I think that's one of my goals. I think, we make a big deal about New Year's resolutions. I think one of my resolutions will be, yeah, I'll try and listen better. How many tentacles we got? 1, 2, 3. So let's do the side one first. This is great. The space button is great. So by default, Maya has your 4 views here. You cannot tumble these. These are perspective. This one you can tumble, which is important. This one doesn't tumble. If you press the space bar, it fills up the screen, which is really nice. I'm going to spacebar out of that, and then you can use your transparent view to make sure that your joints are going in the right place. I'll translate it later. I'm just going to set the bones first. You do one dimension at a time here. And the number of bones, it's up to you. How bendy do you want this boy to be? There is some performance cost when it comes to having tons and tons of bones, but you have to weigh out what is important. Do you want your tentacles to look fluid, or do you want your tentacles to have very good performance but be angular? And so I'm prioritizing having the tentacles be flowy and fluid, and so I'm going to put more bones than I normally would, because I don't want there to be angles visible. I don't want it to bend harshly in a particular spot. And having more bones will allow it to flow more expressively and flow more smoothly. Okay, now you can see it lines up that way. We can grab this joint, and when I say joint, I'm not talking about a doobie, okay? You kids and your funny cigarettes. I'm not talking about funny cigarettes, all right? When I say joint, I'm talking about these here. Okay. Yeah, we'll get these back here. And if I were not physics animating this, a part of me would be dying right now, because I'd look at all the... I've done creature designs that have had more tentacles than this, because I think they're cool. I think for a monster, it gives it an unfriendly look, an alien look. But they're cool. Tentacles are cool. It's not a statement I thought I would ever make, but here I'm saying it. Tentacles are cool, man. I'll say it. I'm trying to just... Can I just... Let me click on that, man. I need to click on that. Oh, I was doing the wrong tool. Tim, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for that. I'm going to buy a pizza with that. I'm going to have a nice big pepperoni pizza with stuffed crust. It was so epic. Also, that thing looks like the Metroid Prime. It's funny. I'm a big Metroid fan, but I don't play Samus in Smash. And I think it's because I play really scummy. If I play Samus in Smash, I cannot help but just spam projectiles, and then I do the morph ball, and then I charge up the shot, and I don't want to irritate my friends, so I don't play Samus in Smash, which sucks, because I love Metroid. I love the vibe, right? You boot up the game, and you're on a planet, and all you've got is your suit and whatever cool things you can shoot out of it. And for some reason, that translates into being annoying in Smash Bros. Same lol, Marth for life. The Fairs character via shelter. I'm glad you say that. If I find that, because I'll hang out with my friends, we'll play Smash for hours, right? It's just a cool way to hang out with friends. I'll find that sometimes I'm playing too annoying, and then I'll just play Lucina for a while, because I know that, look, if I play Lucina, it has to be fair, right? Lucina has no annoying stuff. And so I do... It's important to do a check like that, to see if you're annoying your friends. And it's like, when you're younger, you don't think about those things, but as an adult, it does matter, being more considerate of your friends. And I have reached a point in my life where I try to be more considerate of my friends, and you don't want to go over to your friend's house and then have them be Duck Hunt Duo all night long, is what I'm saying, right? That would suck. And so, yeah, I do play Lucina from time to time to be more considerate. It's my way of... my way of being a better friend is to play Lucina. And I like that. I like that you just have to have good fundamentals playing Lucina and Marth. I'm bad at the tippers with Marth. I'm not good at it. Classic Spamus. Sometimes, though, here's the thing. I like picking a random character, and if the game gives me Samus, like, it's not my fault, right? It's fair if I play Spamus, because the game picks Samus for me, and at that point I have no choice but to play Spamus. Can you call Sakurai and tell him you want Goobuddy and Smash? I don't have his number personally, but I can I don't know, I can shout loudly and... Well, no, I do have direct contact with Nintendo. I do work with them because I make games for Nintendo consoles. I do have a working relationship with them. So I could call Nintendo if I wanted to and say... Obviously, they're going to laugh at me. They will laugh, and they'll say, "Are you crazy? Why did you call me? I told you not to call after 2 a.m. What are you doing?" So I could call Nintendo and ask them to put a Goobuddy in Smash, and they would call me crazy. And they would say, I thought I told you not to call this number anymore. I will look like a crazy person. Okay. So I'm going to start laying... I have to name these. I'm going to be merciful for the stream. I'm not going to name these during the stream because that's a boring process. So I'll come back and I'll name it later. But you have to name your joints or you're going to have problems. One at a time, man. What are you doing here? So this is the starting point for those tentacles. There we go. I called Nintendo once and then farted really loud and hung up. Cthulhu. Oh! I like that. Cthulhu is very good. Nice. And it's, you know, honestly, it was extremely intimidating when I first started working with Nintendo because there was a point, you know, where I started producing and then we spoke more. And, you know, you have to prove that you're serious and you have to prove that you can do the work, that you're capable, and that you are doing the work. And it takes a long time to prove yourself to any big company like that. But there was a point, you know, where we started communicating more directly and they were speaking to me directly. And it was very intimidating, you know, because I grew up playing Nintendo and now I'm making games that are going on their consoles and they're speaking to me directly. It was very intimidating, and so it was, you know, for a while, I was just very intimidated. But they were very respectful and very supportive of me, making my games, and I was making games where I thought, this is it. They're calling me to tell me that I have to change something. They're calling me to say you can't put that in a Nintendo game. We cannot put that on a Nintendo console, and they never reached that point. The only things that I was ever asked to adjust, there were, for the final game on the Nintendo Wii U, there's some stuff where the player could be in a situation where they could end up dropping the gamepad, they could end up falling off the balance board, and those are the only things Nintendo ever asks me to change. And it was intimidating whenever they contact me because I thought they're gonna ask me to take something out of Silver Falls, and you know I want Silver Falls to be exactly what it sets out to be. And I don't want to change anything for anyone. And the fact that Nintendo let me make Silver Falls is like it's really crazy. Tim, I only play as Samus because I'm a true Metroid fan and Samus is my life. I I have I think it's a partial, I guess a psychological disorder where when I play Samus in Smash and I do the morph ball, I say the sound effect. I go beep doop, and I can't stop myself. I've tried so hard, and I've played Smash with my friends countless times, and I'm spamming the morph ball, and every single time I go beep doop, beep doop, I can't stop. I don't. There is something wrong with me at that point. I think you shouldn't feel forced to make the sound effect in that way, but I do. I feel forced, and I have to do it. I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot of manual work on this, with repainting the weights here. We'll see. Okay. This one curves naturally. When I was sculpting this, I didn't think about rigging when I was sculpting, and I often don't, that's something I should improve upon as a developer, but I should have made these tentacles perfectly straight. Excuse me. Anyway, we'll bend it into place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does anyone else do that, or is it just me that does the sound effects for Samus's down B in Smash? It's probably just me. It's the weirdest. I can't not do it, and I don't know why. Okay, we have one down here as well. We might have to do that one from the side, I think. I should have done that one from the side. I don't know why I did it like that. Yeah, the Ghoul, I think that's probably my favorite my favorite name that I've done for Goobuddies. Yeah. No, I'm gonna redo that one. Samus sounds like bloop, 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 bloop. When I play Samus, that's what it sounds like. Sometimes you'll want to turn on your lines. See, this is a situation where turning those on is very helpful to me right now. I want my tool settings. World, I want to change this to... I'm leaning because I have a second screen here, but it's blocking part of my monitor, and it's... That's why, if you see me leaning, I'm trying to see that side of the screen that's blocked off. Can you hold a few Goobuddies hostage and force them to play a killing game? No. Goobuddies are... I want it to feel like they kind of have like free will, and that they're your buddies. I mean, that's the whole name, you know. And I'm still considering how I'm going to balance that out, because I've planned out a number of different games. We'll open my design notes, actually. We'll look at it, and I'll show you what I've planned out for the series. See, they're too close together. There's no reason for them to be that close together, so we'll spread it out a little. I'm getting a little too bunched up. We are too bunched up. If I go quiet, it's because I'm actually genuinely thinking. I'm just trying to make sure these line up, you know. And when I'm doing this, I'm considering how the joints are going to influence the mesh overall, where there's potential for there to be an undesirable outcome. You have to constantly think about undesirable outcomes when it comes to rigging. Oh man, especially when you're doing human elbows and knees. Don't get me started on that. It can be a nightmare, which is why I'm so glad we have auto riggers these days, because you don't know what agony is in a in a in a modeling and rigging sense until you've tried to manually rig a human elbow. It's the worst. How do I play Goobuddies? What is this game on? This will be on Steam and Switch, and the Kickstarter has just been backed. It's past the finish line as of this morning. So there will be a free version of this game, 100% free on the web browsers. I'll be able to spend time making a web browser version of the game. So I'm so excited for that, because I just want to make a game that people can enjoy. I love making games, and my least favorite part about making and selling games is the fact that I have to charge money and make money out of it. I hate that. And I know that there's people out there, you know, that say, "Oh, do you hate money?" You know, money is not what gives my life value. Money is what pays the bills. It buys my food. It buys my adorable doggies food. But money is not what brings my life a sense of value and meaning. I want to make games because I want to give people something awesome to care about. I want to give people something fun to do. I want to give people something to believe in, and it sucks that I have to charge money for games. But I have to get better at it. This is the thing that I'm the absolute worst at, because I don't like the money side of it, but I have to make money with my games in order to keep making them. And it sucks. And you know what? In life, you have to take the good with the bad. You have to grow up. You don't get to hang on to your childhood passion and beliefs forever. You have to let go of that at some point. And it sucks. You know, there are times where I think I wish life could just be about passion and art and making things that you care about, you know, and trying to inspire other people. And it sucks because you don't get to do that all the time. You only get to do that some of the time, because life is more complicated than that. Life is not that simple. It would be nice if it were that simple, but it's not. I hate money too. I only like teddy bears and Samus. I like teddy bears and Samus, but I also like robots. I like dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs made out of guns. I recently found Gundramon in Digimon Story Time Stranger. Up until that point, I had never heard of Gundramon, and it feels like I've been missing out for a very long time because that is a design that was made for me. That is a dinosaur made out of guns. It's perfect. It's what I want. I cannot believe that I have not found Gundramon um, before this year. It feels like the developers were calling out to me, saying, "Hey, come back to Digimon. We've got a gun dinosaur for you." And then I found Skull Seedramon. Oh man, I was always a massive Seedramon fan. Day one, when I saw Seedramon on the box for the virtual pet, they were $15. My first Digimon my sister bought for me, and I think I was 9 at the time, probably 8, maybe. Man, it was a long time ago. My sister had a job, and she bought me the V1 Digimon, and on the box it had Seedramon. I was always trying to get Seedramon. Oh man, that's a monster. The fact that there's now Skull Seedramon is that's I'm delighted with Skull Seedramon. Jurassic Park, nice. That would be. Is anyone else getting scam calls? All day long I'm getting scam calls. I don't even answer them. Jurassic Park is so good. A whole family line where it's just dinos. Oh man. A whole Goobuddy family line that's just dinosaurs, and they live on Jurassic Park. I like it. Nice. Goodramon! Yeah! If Digimon made a Goodramon and it was a Goobuddy, I would be so happy. It comes full circle because I grew up, so inspired by Digimon. I loved it. Digimon, it informed what I like about monsters. I we had Digimon before Pokemon, and I've had people on the internet argue with me when it's clear that these people are significantly younger than me and are just going based off the wiki, and they're saying no, Pokemon came out first. Then these people were not alive back then, and these people were not there to experience it. We didn't have Pokemon before Digimon. We had the virtual pets in the United States. No one had heard of Pokemon. They may have had Pokemon in Japan, but we didn't have it in America yet. So yes, Pokemon was, it was in Japan and the game was out, but it wasn't a phenomenon yet. No one had heard of it. It wasn't launched in the United States yet. We had Digimon, and we on the playground were running around, getting into Digimon battles, fighting each other during recess. No one had ever heard or seen of the word Pokemon. If we had, I would have been playing Pokemon, but I wasn't because we hadn't heard of it. We didn't have it yet. And people argue with me and saying, no, Pokemon, was first. Okay, how old are you? You weren't there. I feel you. I'm German too. Yeah, German. You got Pokemon about the same time, right? And I love Germany. I love the history and the culture of Germany because I'm a my brain went blank for a second as I'm doing the rigging. Um, a zither player, and I collect and I play zithers, and I restore antique zithers. And Germany is, that's really the culture where zithers come from. That Germany is the strongest culture for that. It's really the culture that grew zithers, and Germany sent, well, they didn't send people over. They said go to America. No, people during the Age of Expansion, which sounds so cool. It's when they discovered America and people were exploring the frontier. The biggest source of immigrants to America was Germany, and Germany shared their culture through music, through beer, through drink and food, through music, through passion, and the zither culture in the early expansion era of the United States comes from Germany, and this is a huge part of history that's been erased. I'm going to go on a passionate uh, tangent now as I explain um, the expansion era history, the Wild West history during that era. So you have the expansion era, the westward expansion, and the Civil War, and then the Wild West. That's a trilogy of U.S. histories. That's a trilogy. That's my favorite trilogy of U.S. history. And during that era, Germany had zither music, and they played zither music in America, and they actually started building more unique zithers in the United States because zithers were an instrument that took a lot of training. It's a high skill instrument. And so we started creating new zithers that were touted as this will be easy to play. And we got so many wild variations of it. And this came about primarily during the Wild West era, which took place between 1865 and 1895. And it ended really when the railroads came in and ruined everything, right? But really, it's Germany that really built America. And Germany built zithers, and so they sent people over to build new zithers. They invented new zithers, they created new zithers. They're so wild, and almost none exist. They're almost all gone. And the reason why they're almost all gone is because there were world wars. And unfortunately, Germans that lived in America were told that you have to denounce your connection to your home country. You can no longer, say you're German. You can no longer celebrate German culture, or you're going to be bullied. It was terrible. They were treating people terribly because they were German immigrants, and they were saying that they were acting like, oh, if you're German, you're not a real American, and you're a spy, And so people were changing their surnames so that they didn't sound German, and they were erasing anything that they had that was connected to German history and culture. And unfortunately, zither music was a part of that. These zither instruments, the playing of zithers, the selling of zithers, they were all associated with Germany. And so people stopped saying that they were from Germany. People stopped playing zithers. People took their zithers and they threw them in fires. They destroyed all of them so that they would not be related with the world wars. And it's terrible because people then erased. It was an erasure of history. It's terrible, and it absolutely shouldn't have happened. And nobody talks about it. And I'm quite passionate about it. I talk about it because it's something I care about, because it's a beautiful part of our history. And I really care about it. And we have lost so many instruments and so much information about that history because of that part of time in history. And so I've been collecting and restoring zithers from that era. There are zithers that I have restored that no one else in the world has a playable version of that zither. And it's because somebody, instead of destroying it, they stuck it in an attic, and then decades went by, more than 100 years, and people don't know what it is. And, they say, I think this was my great-grandfather's or something. They got rid of it. And luckily, I'm able to identify what they are. I've done a lot of research and history into that. And I've restored the zithers and made them playable. And I want to put together a documentary where I can share all of the research that I've done. I can share the history, and we can sort of restore that part of our history, because it's not fair that we've erased German immigrants from American history. I've found photos of the Civil War where you see immigrants from Germany. There's a captain, who's from Germany, and he's sitting there playing a zither. And I'm thinking, if I didn't actively set this out, I would have never seen a picture like this. I've never seen anything like that. It was so interesting to see a zither, in that era, being played by soldiers, and a captain, from Germany who had sent a letter home. And that's why the photo survived.
is he had sent letters and photos home, and there's a photo of him, and luckily there's some part of history where he actually said what music they were playing. So we actually know what music German immigrants were playing during the Civil War. I think that part of history is so fascinating. I've gone on a huge tangent. There's the history. I hope I didn't bore you guys, but to me that's very interesting, and I love that stuff. Always wild when people from other countries know more about the American heritage timeline than most Americans. It is funny. You know, people take for granted their stuff. You know, when you're close to something, you don't really care about it. You know, anyway, let's chuck this guy in. I'll name all the joints later because I think that would bore people if it would take a long time. Let me just name the important stuff here. Anyway, I was. It frustrates me how dumb I was when I was a teenager. I look back and I think, like, if you could just not be so stupid, it would be nice. It's really, it frustrates me when I think about how dumb I was as a teenager. I did not like history when I was a teenager, and it's really irritating to me when I think about it, because history is so interesting. I could have learned so much more. I could have done a lot more. But teenager me is pretty dumb. It's pretty stubborn. Polish half polka. I'd like to learn more about Polish music. I love just picking a culture, and then for a couple of months I'll just listen to music and learn about the instruments from those cultures and learn about the food from those cultures. In my Silver Falls series, and I use this as an excuse, you know, in my Silver Falls series, it's very character based. It's very story driven. People love the Silver Falls games for the characters. That's what it's about. And sometimes I'll write a character in Silver Falls. I'll write a character who's from a certain country just as an excuse so I can spend time researching and learning about that country. Otherwise, you know, I have to spend my time working because I make my own games and it's very time consuming. And I can't afford to just stop what I'm working on and then research another country and just spend time learning. I have to do work. So my loophole is I'll create a Silver Falls character and I'll say, oh, this Silver Falls character is from this country. This character is from Finland. And then I've got an excuse. And now I say, oh, well, now I have to learn about Finland. Now I have to meet Finnish people. Now I have to learn about Finnish food. I have to learn about Finnish music. I've been doing that for a while in my Silver Falls games, just as an excuse. Because it's so fun learning about other countries. This can be the face. I have to name these because I have to attach game objects and logic to that. And this is back. I'll name my spine as well, just so I know. This is tail. The silver element uses the tail. So we have head, face, and then I'll name the spine joints, and then we'll move on so that we can get back into the game. The Wild West and the practicality of traveling instruments. That's an interesting topic. That gets me. I'm so glad you say that, Joshua, because you think about a fiddle, right? And I play fiddle. I was playing last night. I was at the pub. I did a short live stream just so I could show people how fun it is. It's an Irish pub, and we were doing our Christmas session. And there's a lot of patrons there, and we get people singing along and playing music. And most of the time I'm the only fiddle player there, so I feel some obligation to keep improving as a fiddle player. But fiddles are temperamental. You know, somebody puts the air conditioner on, and suddenly it's out of tune, you know? And back in the Wild West days, they used gut. And gut is so unstable, you know? The wind, there could be a light breeze, you know, blow past you, and suddenly your instrument is totally out of tune. Gut is also much more fragile, so where do they get more violin strings? And that topic is so fascinating to me because those instruments were not stable. Those instruments would have had to have been a huge pain to maintain during the Wild West. And I love the Wild West era. I love researching it and learning about it. But the zither was one of the staple instruments in America during the Civil War and the Wild West era. It was one of the most prevalent and most important instruments. And if we didn't have the world wars, and if we didn't stigmatize Germany and German immigrants, then zithers would be a huge prominent part of American culture right now. They would not have been erased, and instead of people, going to school to learn guitar, they would have been learning zither. I think in like 1901, 56% of high schools in America were teaching the German language. Look up Jan Levon, the Polka King. Okay. We have Jan Levon, Polka King. Spelled it differently. This is him. Okay, cool. I'll set that aside. I'll listen to him later. My spine has the same name. Stole millions? Whoa. Mormon, my ancestors traveled in hand carts, so we had practical instruments. Ah, oh, man, I love that idea, man, of just traveling and exploring and being a pioneer. That's kind of how I conduct myself, how I live my life, is I think like that. I think that's how my ancestors, my cultural ancestors lived their lives. They were pioneers and adventurers. That's how I want to do it. So that's, I treat the world as an adventure. I treat life as an adventure. So what we're going to do, this is great. So normally I would put the word, I would name it, shoulder left, and we use the mirror tool. We go mirror joints, and what this does is it changes all of the occurrences of the word left, it replaces it with right, and it mirrors it. I'll rename them later. I'll come back and do it because it's time consuming and it's going to be super boring. Okay, so you can see I'm mirroring the joint. By pressing the G key, we can repeat the same tool that we used most previously. Okay, oops. G. When I hear G, I think of House of the Dead. I just adore the terrible, terrible voice acting in that. This is a nightmare. I'm looking at this. If I were to keyframe animate this, I would not be the same person afterward. This is not animator friendly. Look at all the bones in that guy. Here we go. We're gonna bind the skin. And what we have now is we'll take off transparency. And we should be able to select a joint. Yeah, that works properly. Look at that. So now we no longer need to translate any of the vertices when we want to animate. We can just change the bone. We rotate and move the bones, and they influence the vertices. And the vertices is a point. Whoa, no, 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 don't do that. No, don't do that. This is rude. Calling me a complete tool? Very rude. Typing of the Dead. There's something hilariously fun about Typing of the Dead. Something about that. And then there's the DS game Touch the Dead, which is the most unfortunate name. They did not... Maybe they did. Maybe they thought it would be funny to name it Touch the Dead. Okay, what we'll do is make sure this is named correctly. This is Kraken. Karkin. There we go. I will learn to type one day. Delete all by non-deformed history. It's sitting. What's happening? It shouldn't be doing... Okay. Export all. Okay. It was either that or Tap the Dead. See, Tap... Oh, no! No! No, no, no! No! Tap the Dead is somehow worse! Come on, you guys! I think they knew what they were doing. I think Tap the Dead sounds way worse. Because now you have that... Now you have the aspect of, like... You have, like, the bro aspect to it. The college bro aspect of calling it Tap the Dead. And it's worse. I'm sure it's worse. Okay, so now we have rigged up Kraken. Guys, thank you so much for helping the Kickstarter reach its goal. I'm so amped right now. I'm going to add a small, just a sub stretch goal. It might take me a couple days of extra work total, but I could potentially make it to where we can have split element Goobuddies. Maybe we'll put a little stretch goal, so I'll update the campaign later. I just think that's fun. That was a request, you know, from um, you know, the people that we have hang. We're having fun here. We hang out. Let's go ahead and grab Kraken, and we'll bring him into the world. This is our guy. This is him. Let's go ahead and grab the green material. And I really like color variation. Something about color variation is very interesting. So the Cursed Mask and the Blessed Mask are two different transformations. Your Goobuddy has to be born with that. If your Goobuddy has the Cursed Mask, then they have a darker version. So you can see that if he has a Cursed Mask, he's a darker green. Here's the default. And if your Goobuddy has the Blessed Mask, then he has the lighter green. So there's the difference. Something like that, you know, I came up with that idea because I thought it's something that people would like. The entire concept of Goobuddies, every single last aspect of Goobuddies, I've approached it from, I think people would like this. I think this would be really cool. Okay, let's get some eyeballs on our friend here. So let's see, I named it. I named it so I can find it. If I didn't name it, they'd all be a terrible needle in a haystack situation. Do I have to? Actually, no. I named the important stuff. You guys don't tell anyone. I'm not going to go back and rename all the other stuff because there isn't really a need for me. So don't tell anyone. Oh no, I do need to name one. So because the Kickstarter succeeded, I get to make weapon Goobuddies, and so I will have to make it so he can hold one of the weapon Goobuddies to fight. But don't tell anyone. I'm not going to go back and rename all the joints. I'm going to leave them. I'm just I'm not lazy. I have limited time, you know. And I have other work that I need to do to finish the game. All right, eyes, set position, and now I want to make sure that I set the eyes in a way that I think looks cool. See the shapes? The shapes where I set the eyes are very, very specific. There's only one Goobuddy where I messed up and I need to go back and change it. I set them in a very specific spot, and the geometry is such that it can look like the Goobuddy is looking at you, and it feels like he has a very specific expression on his face. So that's the point of... It seems arbitrary, you know, the lumpiness, but an immense amount of thought goes into this very specific shape. It's to make it so the Goobuddy can look like he's looking at you. That's not even an eye rig. That's a placeholder eye rig. Let's just copy this one. Can you hear the music? Is the music too quiet or too loud or anything? What is second? What about the colorblind? Well, color imperceptive people can still see tonality, you know? And I do consider that because I understand that not everyone sees color the same. And so when I'm designing things visually, I keep that in consideration. So I'm not making decisions based solely on just the color. I'm making decisions based on tonality as well. Okay, want them split apart a bit more, and then shrink them down. It'll take a bit of fine-tuning, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Tap Dance of the Dead. Tap dancing is interesting, but it's really fallen out of kind of like ballroom dancing. That used to be huge, right? Like it was a massive, massive thing. I have seen a lady on YouTube that does tap dancing. I forgot her name, but I've seen it. The music's cool. It's a cool vibe. Tap dancing. Make a goo Shambok. What are those? What weapon is that? let's see, a heavy leather whip. A whip is traditionally made from adult hippopotamus. That makes me feel bad for some reason. So, did you know that the cheapest paintbrushes you can get, budget, whatever, are made of camel hair? It says so. It says camel hair. However, that is a lie. It's not actually made out of camel hair. It's often made out of hair from more common animals, such as cat. But if you say that the fur that you've made your paintbrush out of is from a cat, it would upset people and they wouldn't want to buy the paintbrush. And so companies lie and they say that it's camel when it's actually cat. There you go. And other things as well, Who needs a date when you can have a Goobuddy? Interesting. I'm not sure if there can be a Goobuddy. There's not enough body to it. It would be a very narrow Goobuddy. Oh, you know what? I'll open my notes. Since the Kickstarter has reached its end goal, I'll open my notes in a minute, and then I can show you the species that I've planned out. I've not revealed that to anyone yet. I didn't reveal it because it would be very disappointing if we didn't get funded and then we didn't get to have those species, but now I'll show you. So very quickly, before I do that, let's go ahead and start our bone simulation here. And we will end so that we don't simulate the face, the head, and the back. Okay. And the material will be normal. Let's run it. So we'll see blinking from the Goobuddy. And we should see physics simulation as well. So what I'm planning for the future, I've been working absurd hours. I've been getting 4 hours of sleep every night so I can finish my game. Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. We can play that. We'll play it a little bit. Oh, yeah, that'll be fun. So that game's finished. I'm just finishing balancing and polishing the game. So that's Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. And the framework for that, I use the same framework for my interactive devlog, which you can play in your web browser. And in the interactive devlog, I'm going to focus on updating that weekly, even if it's just a small addition. I haven't been updating it weekly because it's relying on me finishing Hero of Destiny first. And I finished Hero of Destiny, so later today I will be working on updating that. So keep an eye out for the Sungrand Virtual Studio. That's going to have a massive update. There's going to be a lot of more playable stuff and a room for battling. There'll be a battle room. Okay. So now that I've put him inside, he now has the logic. He now has all the logic he needs to be a playable character. There's obviously some formatting that I need to do. I need to make the elemental variants as well. The element adds some details, like rocks or fins. Oh no! Oh no, what's happening? Uh-oh! What's happening to our friend? Okay, something's gone wrong. It was too much. There's too much going on, though. There's something wrong. There is something wrong. I need to figure out what it is. I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. That's very metal, Goobuddy. We can always make Goobuddies a 4-year project that we work on together in informative daily hangouts. Well, what I've been planning for the long term is the virtual studio. I'll put a link to it in the comments here. What I want to do the live stream is we get to hang out, and then you guys can just chuck ideas out, right? And we can say, what do you want to? I'll say to you guys, what do you want to add to the virtual studio today? You guys can throw out ideas for monsters, for weapons, for cosmetics, for armor, for equipment, for playable characters. You guys, we can hang out, we can talk about whatever you want, and whatever you want, we'll put in the virtual studio, and the virtual studio will be our game. that we get to make together. And it's not a game, you know, it's a way for me to just hang out and have fun with you guys and show you what I'm working on, you know, in an interesting way. It's sure you make the devlog videos, but I think having the interactive devlog is way more fun. And so I'm going to start doing that very soon. I just need to finish up the games that I'm working on right now. But I think it'd be really cool. Just a fun way for all of us to just hang out. You just chuck your ideas out there, and whatever you want, we'll put it in the virtual studio, and then you can play it with me. I can update the virtual studio in real time as I work on it. Look, Medusa-ish, you're right. When it was going crazy, look at Medusa hair. Is there an antagonist? In this, there isn't a character that serves as an antagonist. There isn't an antagonistic force, but there are, if you go to bounties, the antagonistic force are the Colossus. These are Goobuddies that merged together at some point and became a bigger entity and started eating other Goobuddies. That's what a Colossus is. And that's the antagonistic force. There isn't, you know, there isn't a long silver-haired man that's constantly showing up trying to kiss you. There isn't one of those. Those are not attached to the spine. I see. It feels like I've made a mistake. Anyway, I can fix that later. No big deal. Anyway, here's our friend. Goulossus. Well, I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to call it Goulossus, but then I have Goliath, you know? And I just wanted to, you know, you gotta put your foot down at some point and have a little bit of you gotta have some reservations on some things, you know. Oh, look at that. Guys, his overflow state's gonna be so sick. Let's make his overflow state now. Look at him. I like this. This is what I like. So his breathing, I want his breathing to have a little bit more influence. We are going to do his overflow state now because I like this friend a lot. Turn this off. If you don't know what skinned motion vectors do, and if you don't need it, well, if you don't know what it is, you don't need it. Absolutely turn it off. Any skinned mesh that you put into Unity has that on by default, and it like doubles the memory overhead on that. Take that off. It's a form of optimization that you can keep in mind that it shouldn't have to be that way. It should be off by default. Okay. Where are my other overflow characters? Hold on. So we'll do this, and then I'll show you Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. Who's it? A good idea. This way you're still convincing yourself you're being social while fixating on completing your games. I save my leisure time. I save it for going to the bars and pubs to play music sessions. I just love hanging out with people and playing music. So I don't waste my leisure time. I try to be really careful with it. Yeah. Those are the cursed masks if you haven't seen it yet. The family lines share cursed masks. These are the blessed masks. They come with wings. I really like this guy. Check that out. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to put a cursed mask. These are going to have their own exclusive special masks designed for them. They can't share a mask with anyone else because it's... Oof. Who is the keeper of the key? Not sure. Key Goobuddy. Door Goobuddy and Key Goobuddy. Alright, let's get cracking in there. Okay, let's bring this guy over here. Now, I'm kind of thinking... I have... this one, and I'm going to start with this one as a template. I'm going to put it here. And this is Overflow. Gooferoth. What is up with Sephiroth constantly trying to kiss Cloud? I don't know what the deal is. Is it just me? But every time he shows up in 7 Remake, he's like way too close. His face is way too close to Cloud's face. And he's always like, Cloud, you're looking delicious today, Cloud. You smell like strawberries. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is not how Sephiroth was in the original, right? Do I not remember? I could be wrong, right? You can remember things incorrectly. Maybe I've remembered Sephiroth wrong, and he was always like that, but I feel like he was not always like that. I feel he wasn't always trying to kiss Cloud in the original. Am I wrong? Is this a best impersonation? This is a Mandela effect, right? It has to be. Cloud, your breath smells like the summer breeze. Join me. I don't see these sucker bits. They look like squid bits. So what I'm going to do is reduce those. Cloud, I want you to meet my mother. You will like her. That animation style is so cool. An idea, make a pasta goo and call it pasta. Oh, so I keep saying I'm going to open the development notes. I will do that. I had plans for a Goobuddy family line that is based entirely on food. I'm a sucker for goo monsters. For a while I was testing out, gacha mobile games. There's one, I can't even remember what it's called, some dragon. They're all dragon based. I'm glad you like the animation style, thank you. I'll run it so I can show you the physics simulation on these. I'm so pleased with how this turned out because again, my goal with Goobuddies is to make the characters just satisfying to look at. And so I want the physics simulation to be satisfying. So I think something like this, I think that's satisfying to look at. Let me turn off the, hold on. So just, the character shapes themselves, I want them to be fun to look at. And I want the physics simulation to be satisfying to look at. And so the overflow state, this is basically your Goobuddy go Super Saiyan. You can teach your Goobuddy overflow state, and when they have that, when their health gets low during battle, they will manifest their Goobuddy overflow form, and they will have boosted stats. And you can often, it's a turn the tide mechanic, is what it is. And overflow increases your viscosity. So if your Goobuddy has slime-based attacks, there's physical attacks, and then there's slime attacks. And slime is based on your viscosity. And your viscosity stat gets a massive buff when your overflow activates. These are fun. This is Levitator. I really like Levitator. Tower is one of my favorite I keep saying that, but he's one of my earliest designs. When I was thinking, he was the first one that had slime as part of his design. All of them up until that point were just goo. And then I thought, no, it'd be cool if there was slime as well, right? So he's the first design that implemented slime, and he uses slime as legs. And that's Tower, and this is his overflow form. I'm so delighted with how he turned out. I love his goofy little smile. So he already has slime as part of his legs, but he grows a halo, a slime halo, and tendrils as part of his overflow form. I think that's satisfying to look at. So let's go ahead. Oh! I created Kraken's overflow form before already. Nice. Past me already did it, so I don't need that. Thank you, Past Me. You've saved me a little bit of time. And of course I have to program it so the color of the slime for your overflow matches you know, Goobuddy, their element. Okay, I just gotta make sure that I open my. I keep saying I'll open my dev notes. Dang it, dagnabbit. I will open the dev notes now. We'll take a look at what we've got going. Yeah, so with the virtual studio, I want that to be a hangout, basically a way for us to hang out. And yeah, we can just come up with monsters. We can spitball and come up with new weapons. You guys can create new weapons. We can create new special abilities and attacks. You guys just make stuff up. We'll make it up on the spot, and then I'll put it in the virtual studio, and that'll be the game. It'll be playable. All right. We have Kraken's overflow form. Yeah, I'm pleased. I am delighted with this. Let's kind of separate them so we can get just a better look that's not as crowded. Sorry, I got Zoidberg vibes for a second. He goes, la 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 la. Oh no! You're making Sven. You're making me think of the Polnar. Oh my god! I almost said Polnareff. The Kakyoin thing where he has the cherry, but instead it's Sephiroth, and Sephiroth has the cherry, and Sephiroth's going. All right, we did it. We've rigged up Kraken. We're ready to go. I'm not sure if I have an appointment today. Let me just check my calendar here. Double checking. I think we're good. Okay. All right, let's open OneNote. OneNote is broken on. I think it's broken on Windows 10 now. I'm not allowed to update it, so I can't edit it. We should be able to still open it. Oh no! I think it's totally broken entirely. I think this won't let me view my notes. I'll have to open it on the website. One moment. You can still use it in the web browser. That's fine. There's a solution for most problems. Do I have to Chrome this? So for a while I was using WaterFox. There's a web browser called WaterFox. It's Firefox, but it has a different name because they wanted to make it sound cool. And I used it because it sounded cool. And that's about it. Okay, we're going to open the notes. I'll show you the dev notes for Goobuddies that's in OneNote. Oh, the app opened. Well, okay. Let's see what's in here. I hope there isn't anything that's going to, like, spoil anything. Basic animations. Hope we don't spoil anything. So the idea with the cursed masks, I came up with that because I had one design, one Goobuddy. Don't forget to save your progress. You're right. Absolutely right. I had a Goobuddy, and he had a skull. It was one, like a bull skull. And then I thought, what a waste that only one Goobuddy gets to have that cool skull. The idea for me was that there's no hard parts in a Goobuddy. They're all goo. And I thought it would be so interesting. What happens if a little bit of calcium gets introduced into the egg while your Goobuddy is incubating? That calcium becomes part of the Goobuddy, and that forms its cursed mask. So, are you using any version control system like Git? No, I don't understand that stuff well enough, and I know that I need to spend time researching it and understanding before I use it, because I need to understand all of the implications, what effect it will have on my workflow, and I haven't taken the time to understand it yet. One day I will, and then I will start using it. But I have a manual backup system with a number of different external hard drives. Okay, let's see. Is this it? Where is, or is this showing me notes that are out of date because it's discontinued? I think this might be showing stuff that's out of date. Oh yeah, so there's a lot going on. There's so many different combat actions that allow you to explore different strategic ideas. For me, it's so important to give the player freedom to explore their own strategies, to come up with their own strategies. So whenever I plan out a battle system, I want to make sure there's a lot of parts for players to find and explore and then to build their own strategies. I am not sure if these are outdated notes here. I'm going to Control F. Oh, you know what? It might be in series development. Hold on. Series development. Here we go. Stuff I can't dream. Okay, here we are. So these, oh man, I'm so excited. You know what? I will live stream creating these Goobuddies now that we get to make them. We're funded on the Kickstarter. I'll add a little special stretch goal for the split element. Weapons. Okay, so these are the Goobuddies that will be added to the Kickstarter in the weapon family. So we have Knight Sword, Magic Staff. I think that one's going to have an orb, the magic orb on it. Battle Axe, Warhammer, Bow Staff, excuse me, Claw, Shield, Cleaver Sword, Scimitar, Bow, Scythe, and Whip. And surely I've thought of something for the Bow Staff. Surely, you know what I think I meant? Well, I think what I wanted was a sectional staff. And when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with primitive weapons, right? I was building weapons nonstop when I was a teenager. So I was always getting into trouble. I can say that. Yeah, I was always getting into trouble because I loved weapons when I was a teenager. This is a sectional staff. It's, you know, wood and some chain. And you can build one of these. A teenager could build one. And I'm not saying you should build one. I'm not saying you should get into trouble. I'm just saying that's what I did. And I got into a lot of trouble. But I think it would be cool to have a sectional staff Goobuddy where there's an eye on the end of either staff. And then the staff sections are connected with slime. That would be fun. We have Claw, Shield, Cleaver Sword. That would be a big, big, big sword. Scimitar, Bow, Scythe, and Whip. Oh! How would it... I wrote that, but I'm wondering what Past Me was planning for that. Because I'm thinking about that. I know what I was going to do with all of these. I think the bendy part was going to be slime. That's probably what I was thinking. Okay, Cuboid. So Cuboid, we have... Let's save this. Kraken has his overflow form, which is nice. So let's go ahead and go back to our standard here. Where did we put our couch? Okay, here we are. Oh man, I'm so excited right now. I think the reality of it hasn't really... What about a book goo? Oh, that's a great idea. I would like that. You know, if people really enjoy this, if the game sells well, I'll be able to spend more time making other games in this series that I've planned out. We'll take a look at the notes for the upcoming stuff, because I have planned a lot. But if it sells well early on, it'll allow me to focus on making more Goobuddy stuff, because I do want stuff. I do want one where it's more of an adventure style. Like, I don't want to say a clone of Pokemon, but I want a game where you are exploring and traveling through an environment, and you're traveling with your team of Goobuddies, and it's a little more story-based. I do want to make a Goobuddy game like that. Outside of that, I want one that's just open-world exploration and traversal, and your Goobuddies would be a huge part of traversal. Genuinely, though, I just want to make one really good game first, and see if people like the concept and enjoy it. So this is Cuboid. Because we're funded on the Kickstarter, we will be able to have that family line of Goobuddies. So we have the young one is Cublet. So the one we're seeing now is Cublet, and then after that we're going to have Wall. This is inspired, if we have any Monster Rancher fans out there, Wall is inspired by one of the monsters from Monster Rancher. We have Box. It's gonna like a moving box. It's gonna have an open top. I think something like that gives me existential dread. This one's gonna be kind of like body horror. And then Tall T, and this is gonna be the letter T. I think that's funny. And when you play the game, and I have the website up, I will have all of the Goobuddies listed on the website with their rarity. And the common ones are, easier to get than uncommon and rare. So in the uncommon for the Cuboid family, we have Diamond, which you get Prism, Ziggurat, Double Shelf. This is going to be furniture. It can go next to Cow. These designs and the concepts are just to make myself laugh. So we have Double Shelf and Couch and Quad Cube. So I think there's 3 rotating around. Okay, so there's one central cube, and then there's 3 rotating around it. So this is also like a kind of like a multi thing. But it needs a lore explanation why the world consists only of goos and humans. Are there other life forms? Well, there's animals, of course. Yeah, there's animals. There's humans and animals and goo, but your hook has to be the defining trait. Digimon, its defining trait is that its special life forms are the Digimon, and for Pokemon, their special life forms are the Pokemon. It's crazy how in early Pokemon anime there was still normal animals. They had animals that were not Pokemon, but now it seems like normal animals are not allowed in Pokemon. That's kind of what it feels like. And for the rare, we have Cube Tower, and I think that's going to be like a big, almost like an Eiffel Tower sort of situation, sort of structure. I'm sure that's what I had in mind for that. Castle, so it's going to be a whole castle. It's a Goobuddy. And Cube Man will be a humanoid made of cubes. And then we have Prism Dome. And I think the idea I had for Prism Dome, I think it's going to be sort of like a Louvre situation. Is that what I'm thinking of? The Louvre? There's a French museum. I haven't had a lot of sleep. I've been getting 4 hours of sleep. I was out at the pub last night, and we had our Christmas music session. I haven't had a ton of sleep. I've been finishing up my games. So, okay, let's take a look at Slime. Oop. And this is Slime. Oh, I'm delighted. I'm so delighted I get to make Slime. This is fun. And writing lores. I love writing lore. That's one of my favorite things. So, Slimelet is the baby. This is the baby form. We're looking at that. This is Slimelet. And then, common is Blob. So, Blob is going to be similar to Slimelet, but bigger and fatter. We're going to have Slime Tall. I think that's a placeholder name. That one's going to be quite tall. It's going to droop forward. We have Slime Snake. So, it'll be Serpentine. We have Slime Squeezer. He's going to have big arms that come out. These arms were made for hugging. We've got Slime Pillar. He's going to be a tall pillar with eyes up top. Slime Crawler. He's got back 2 legs. It should be fused. The back 2 legs are sort of fused together, and the front legs fused. Open gaping maw. Wait, why does it say that? What does that mean? This sounds upsetting, the open maw, like a kraken. Slime Bloom. Oh yeah, that's going to be sort of like a plant. A large stalk with a bulbous top. Slime Branch. Many tentacles rise up and drop down. I think it's a situation where it comes up, and then it's going to go... Blah, 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 blah. Slime Quad is a giant blob with 4 heads inside. Ooh, that sounds fun. Slime Man. He's similar to Goo Man, but more fat. Okay, so Goo Man, where is he? We'll look at Goo Man. And Goo Man was one of my early designs as well. Slime Cage. Oh yeah, I want like a sort of a... It looks like it's meant to trap other goo inside of... Okay. Okay, so where's Goo Man? There's Goo Man. So Slime Man will be like a fat Goo Man, I think, is what my idea was. Brain. I just like, look at his face. I like this guy. And Slime Mammoth, similar to Titan Amorphous. Yeah, so I'm so delighted, and now I'm really excited to see what people come up with for the Kickstarter. One of the backer rewards, people get to submit their Goobuddy designs, and I'll adapt them into the game. So there's going to be a whole family line that's just entirely from the people who supported this game. Thanks for the explanation on how your world works. It's so important that your world needs to make enough sense to where it feels pleasant for the viewer to suspend their disbelief. And so your lore must facilitate that in a way that is inviting and fun and welcoming. Okay, I'm gonna boot up Hero of Destiny, and I'll show that for I'm so excited about this game. Here we go. Okay, hold on. 1 second here. Hold on. Let me see. What can I do? One moment. I'm still here. Okay, I'm just going to open my project here. The screen will be back in just a moment. So, I'm so excited for Hero of Destiny because I've created a game framework for this that is going to make it so much faster for me to create my games. I've had so many ideas that I think are so interesting, not just from a story and a lore aspect, but from gameplay. And it takes so long to make a game. It can be very disheartening and frustrating. So I spent the past 2 years developing a framework so I can just make action-adventure games extremely fast. It's ready. The framework it's mature enough to where it can produce a full game now, and it's so fast when it comes to making games. So I use that for Hero of Destiny. I'm really excited. I love figuring out a realistic way to show why the world works the way it is with pseudoscience rooted in real science. Yes, absolutely, Sven. I'm absolutely with you. I love those kinds of stories where just a little bit of reality can go a long way to build a fantasy world. And it just feels good to believe in that world. And as a writer, you just need to make sure that you put enough details in there, and you make sure that there's continuity. The worst thing you can do is just destroy your continuity. Awesome stream, I gotta go. Thanks for hanging out, Tim. I'll see ya. Oh, shame, you're gonna miss out on the Hero of Destiny. We'll catch up again. We'll catch up in the next video. I really appreciate all your support. I'll add a stretch goal, a little stretch goal, to see if we can get split element Goobuddies. And that's actually, it's entirely thanks to you, Tim. Otherwise, I would not have even tried that split element thing, but we'll see. Okay. And if the feature does make it into Goobuddies, then it's entirely because Tim asked for the Goobuddy, and it's been so fun hanging out with you and just chatting about stuff in the videos. Okay, and in the actual game, the loading times won't be like this. The loading times are sluggish because this is the Unity development environment, and it just naturally loads slower. I'm waiting. This is what Sonic the Hedgehog says. You're too slow. You're too slow. Okay, it normally doesn't take this long, but I think OBS is eating my system resources right now, so... Well... Okay, so this is the battle... Oh, okay. We're here. Alright, this is the Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. I've just finished this game, but I'm fine-tuning and adjusting everything. Basically, in this game, the hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. There's nobody left to fight the final boss. So all of the NPCs in the final town decide to try to fight the final boss themselves. But these are all level 1 characters with no magic, no special abilities. They have abilities, but they aren't special. They're just normal, everyday abilities. And you get to build a team of 8, and you do what you can, and you try to fight the final boss. I don't want to spoil that stuff, so I won't show the final boss or anything. But the idea of the game is that you are terribly underpowered, and you are at the very end of the game, and you're playing as level 1 NPCs. So you can either try to brute force it and try to get through the final boss, or you can actually level grind and power up the characters. You can enhance their equipment. You can genuinely just make them stronger. And you're free to play the game however you want. You can do solo runs, or you can do team builds. There's more than 50 playable characters. After you beat the game, there's a couple secret characters that get unlocked. There's directional locking on your attacks. If you hold down your attack button, your characters will stay facing one direction. But it's not just a slash 'em thing. It's heavily reliant on your abilities as well. So, for example, Blacksmith has Sharpen, so that's Party Power +4 for 15 seconds. Very good. I'll boost that. I'll get my Alchemist to drop a Bad Elixir. The Bad Elixir is an area effect that does damage on contact. I'll use the Carpenter to build a crate. That's a spacing tool. I have Audit. My Accountant can audit me and then make me move faster. I'll Sharpen again, so now I've got a +8 on attacks. Those enemies are dropping that waterfall area of effect thing, so you got to avoid getting hit by that. Let's see what else that I got. I have the Flower Keeper. When a stronger enemy comes out, I'm going to wait for the Flower Keeper. I'm going to drop this fence here for spacing. See that? So I've spaced that enemy out. And now I can chuck a rock. He missed. Thanks. He threw it at a different enemy. So it's about spacing. It's about using your abilities in an interesting way. And there's more than 50 playable characters, and they all let you engage in battles in different ways. So I think it's just really interesting. It's such a fun concept that you're relying on a party of weaklings, and you've got to make it work somehow. I'm going to Dirt Throw. This will reduce the enemy's attack power, which is going to help me with my survivability. I'm going to Team Bandage. It's a +20. The healing is not strong in this game because you don't have magic. Your healing is not magic-based. Okay, I use the Mirror Cell program I saw online for my DNA absorbing worm idea. I like that idea. He did not create a mirror cell, but I did see a video talking about that. But in theory, it's possible, and my scientist in the story did it. What's your story about? Tell me about your story. Is it sort of like what's the setting? Is it, modern day? Is it high fantasy? Get me that power buff. Chuck a rock. You have it easy until the big enemies start coming out. Okay, we're going okay. And so I'm doing... Uh-oh. The big boys came out. So I'm doing fine-tuning, like adjusting and staggering when the enemies spawn. Right now, they all just spawn at the exact same time, so I'm making adjustments to that. The potion will stop the enemy from using its special attacks. And if I don't do that, the gold one has a big Thunder Field attack. I've lost my Flower Keeper. I should have used her abilities more. I'm going to audit my Accountant for that speed boost. Get the 20 heal. Oh, they're shooting big projectiles, aren't they? Okay. I'll take the power buff. Shoot. Oh, shoot, 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 shoot. Oh, no. I'm losing my characters. I'll build that, see if I can space them out. My woman! Woman! No! I needed that +4 on attack from the woman before she died. Okay, it's me and the Carpenter. Me and the Carpenter. Space him out, man. No. This is it. It's funny because you rely on certain characters for certain... to deal with certain enemies, and once you lose one of your characters that deals with that situation, it's basically... it's all downhill. So it's good to have redundancy when it comes to characters. This is not good. Good night, everybody. I'll throw a stick. It's all I got. The real doctor, was it Dr. Adamala? I will use another name, of course, Resident Evil inspired. Man, I was obsessed with Resident Evil throughout the 90s and 2000s. 100%. I loved anything Resident Evil inspired, Resident Evil similar, Resident Evil related. I'll check it out. Make sure you keep in touch and you share that with me. I have a Discord. I forget what the link is. I have people that run the Discord for me because I'm really bad at that kind of thing. So I do have a Discord. I should start putting it in my videos. Okay. I got destroyed. Okay, I'll do another one. Oh man, I'm really excited. I'll probably do another live stream tomorrow, and I'll model the Goobuddies that we can now make because of the Kickstarter. Oh man, I'm so pleased. I'm over the moon right now. I think I'm gonna have a pizza for lunch. We'll probably wrap up the stream. I haven't had anything today but half a banana. I didn't even finish the full banana before starting the stream here. So yeah, this is just a fun mode to see how far you can get. It's a high score based mode that is optional, and you can play this before beating the game. You can play it after, and it's just a way to apply your characters. You can collect resources so you can level up your armor, you can level up your weapons on your characters, and you can level up your characters as well. So this mode just lets you test your skills. You can try new characters, explore different strategies that you come up with. Something like this I think is very fun, because you can keep exploring different ideas. I should have taken that was a quiet moment. I should have built myself a corral. Dang. I was getting there. I need my accountant to throw that. I need that guy. So you can access your team abilities at any time. What's good about your party members, your projectiles, when you use an ability that targets the enemy, you don't have to aim it. Your characters will lock on to the latest enemy that they were engaged with. Sven, what's your favorite Resident Evil? For me, it's 0. And it's tough, right? Because there's so many good games. Code Veronica X, fantastic. I just love how creepy that game is, man. It's so unsettling in a way that the other Resident Evil games are not. Like you're basically a hamster in a wheel that's being, your hamster cage is being shook up and rattled by a guy who is not mentally stable. That game is creepy. So I love Code Veronica. Claire's my favorite Resident Evil character, but 0 is cool because of the item system. I really like the Rebecca-Billy dynamic. The having to manage your items by dropping everything on the ground, not only does it remind me of the Lonely Island song, it's a great mechanic that it adds challenge that I enjoy. And I like having the two characters. Revelations raid mode, yes! Man, I'm a big Revelations fan. I played so much raid mode. Of course, co-op with a buddy of mine as well. I'm out of touch with my friend that I did raid mode on. It's a shame. I haven't heard from him in a while. But we played all the Resident Evils together. We played through Resident Evil 5 very happily together. We played through Resident Evil 6 very angrily together. But I'm a big fan of raid mode, and Revelations was a big inspiration for me for making my game Silver Falls 3 Down Stars. That's a survival horror. And that has a massive battle mode with massive amounts of RPG elements and loot collecting and upgrading and enhancing. I was very inspired by Revelations being a great experience on the 3DS, so I wanted to create a great horror game for the 3DS as well. So that's why I made Silver Falls 3 Down Stars. 48! It's a new record! 1070. I just created the Scory. The scale is too big to make it our first game. If you want to make it into a game, what engine are you considering? I strongly consider, if you're still, building up your skills for game development, I strongly recommend using RPG Maker because it handles all of the structural functionality for you. You don't have to do any programming, and all of the in-game systems will work. RPG Maker is excellent for storytelling. It's the best engine for people that need to focus on telling a story. So I strongly recommend using RPG Maker for that. And RPG Maker is accessible in that anyone will be able to play your game. RPG Maker can deploy to your computer, your mobile. So yeah, I strongly recommend it. We have RPG. Which version of RPG Maker are you using? And Unity. Oh, okay, I see. I haven't seen that much of that version, but I don't like that it's connected to Unity, because there's problems with Unity. It's very sluggish, it's very heavy, it's clumsy and irritating to work with. But it's an engine, you know. And it's very beginner unfriendly. It's beginner hostile. That's the problem with Unity. It's beginner hostile, and connecting RPG Maker to it, I think, is a mistake. But if it works for you, then absolutely keep using it. I would personally recommend a different version of RPG Maker, because from what I've seen, the other versions of RPG Maker they're more reliable, they're more stable, and they aren't connected to Unity. And again, Unity is very hostile to beginners. I don't know which RPG Maker it is. He bought a lot of assets already. Okay, well, see what you can do and just figure it out. And you can ask me for help. Feel free. You know, I don't know what the link is for Discord. Check in on the videos. You know, I post the videos regularly, but I'll put the Discord. You guys can ask me for help anytime. If you need any advice or guidance, I'm happy to help. You know, there's people that I hear from time to time, and they'll say, "Hey man, I had a question about this," so I'm always happy to help. Yeah, rock on. Yeah, this is a game. I think I'm gonna grab something to eat. I'm gonna have. I need to fix that because I adjusted the font size recently. We'll just do a quick puzzle in this shrine over here. Can I access that? So yeah, this is my game. Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. I just finished this game. I'm fine-tuning and adjusting and just fixing any small glitches. And yeah, I'll be able to launch the game pretty soon. I'm really excited about this. I'll take that. Magic ball. I will have lunch very soon. I'm going to wrap up the stream here, so thank you very much, everyone, for supporting the Goobuddies Kickstarter. I'm over the moon that I get to create more Goobuddies for you. I want to make cool monsters for people, and now I get to make cool monsters for people. I get to make more. Ow, I got hit by a projectile, and it hurt me. I got hurt by a projectile. I gotta defeat these enemies real quick. Oh, he's eating me! Oh, he's eating me! Okay. I'm gonna throw some dirt in your eye. I'm gonna throw a little dirt in your eye. I'll throw a stick at him. Wood chop. There we go. Did my big strong move. Wood chopping. Wood chopping ignores enemy defense, which is useful. These guys grabbing my guys. Leave my flower keeper alone. Okay, I did run into an error here, so I'm going to keep track of that. See, these are the things that I'm still fixing up. The game's finished. Let me just figure out what went wrong here. Looks like a little Pikmin for some reason. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, this is my game. The Hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. You have 50 NPCs to try to defeat the final boss. The Hero of Destiny was killed, and now all that's left are a bunch of characters that have no magic. They have no special magic things. They just have very boring normal abilities. And you have to build a team to try to defeat the final boss. You have to apply abilities that generally aren't special, but if you have a big team, it is doable. You can defeat the final boss. So I've got to hit these switches. I think using my stick throw ability, I should be able to hit that. There we go. I've hit one. So normally the Hero of Destiny would, you know, what is this? Use the Star of Destiny to hit the switches. Uh-oh. I don't have the Star of Destiny. We couldn't use the Star of Destiny even if we had it. Is there any other way we can hit the switches without the Star of Destiny? Yeah, there is. There is other ways to hit switches. You have to wait for your cooldown meter. You can have other characters as well. Man, I can't. I don't have any other. I lost my other characters. Love that concept. How's it going, Mouse Man? I want to make something that is just fun, you know. And I think something like this. I want to make a game you could jump in and out of. I know a lot of people out there have such a busy workday, right? I've made this game for people who have such a demanding workload, and you don't always get to sit down and then spend the 30 hours you need to get through a game. And there's certain games where if you put it down, you're not going to be able to jump back in because you're going to lose your proficiency with the mechanics of the game. You're going to forget the story. You're going to get lost in where to go. And so I made this game for people that just want to be able to jump in and out of a game, and they don't have a ton of time to spend on that. Oh, this is a ghost enemy. He's not supposed to spawn yet. See, I can cheese him. He's not supposed to spawn yet. So I'll make a note of that, and I'll fix that. I just cheesed that enemy so hard. So the game is finished, you see, but I need to fix things like that. So that's what I'm working on with this. So I'll probably need another day or two. Okay, I'll get the timing right. I'll get it. I've embarrassed myself in front of the entire internet. I missed my projectile. Now I have to wait for my cooldown. Yeah, you can have 8 characters. And it's funny because these are... Oh, I'm embarrassing myself. Oh, I missed it. It's painful. These are the NPCs that just... There's nothing special about them. And so it was actually a major challenge creating character designs that were not... They have to look interesting, but they have to not look like heroes. And I need to do it in a way to where your party looks interesting overall in its composition. So all of the color choices for the different characters, the color dynamics, take that into account. But I also want to make it look like the design choices for color, I want to make it look like it's restricted by the 8-bit sprite palette limitations. And to me, that adds to the fun and the charm of these characters. Hey, Ray, how's it going? Good to see you again. So I'm showing my game. The hero of Destiny was killed by the final boss. So I just am testing and got to fix up some stuff. So I'm going to recruit, like this is the... Oh, look, let's get some lore here. We'll go to the storyteller, and he'll tell us a little bit about this world. Come hither and witness the tale of the artifacts of destiny. Sliced through the searing flame of the sun, the sword of destiny rests atop the Tower of Kornak. Strike with the chilling shadow of the moon, the star of destiny stands at the peak of Zakhan Mountain. Crush with the weight of the earth, the jaws of destiny rests in the Galgian crater. Lash with the sheer force of the wind, the whip of destiny sits in the dragon's cavern. Pierce with the trembling spark of thunder, the bow of destiny slumbers in the underwater geocave. Resonate with the vibrant life of nature. The bell of destiny grows within the giant tree Vorandus. Rend with the shredding ice of the mountain. The trident of destiny awaits you in Meloda village, the final frontier. I have traveled all over the world to spread the legend of these weapons. Now that all the heroes are defeated, is my job pointless now? Have I wasted my life? And there we go. This guy's job is to go around, he spreads the legend of the weapons of destiny, and that's his whole thing. His whole job is to do that. Now the hero of destiny is dead, he's thinking, what do I even do now? So I'm going to recruit this guy, add him to my party, and I love doing that. I love writing tons of lore for this world, right? I have run into a script execution error, so I will have to fix that. But I love writing lore, I love story, and the fact that you never get to go to these places, because the game, this is the final area of the game. It's the final island, and they assume that you've already been to those places, so you never even get to go to those. So all the characters in this world are talking about places that you never get to go to. I think something like that is such a fun concept. Okay. No, I think the battle manager was null on that, on the title, on the world map. So the room manager is always there, and... Okay, that should fix it. Let's play Curse. Did I miss the ducks? Oh, there are summoner characters. I'm a huge fan of summoners. Any summoner class, I have to play that. There are summoner characters, and one of the characters here summons only ducks. There's a Dragon Renter, is one of the characters that you can have. He doesn't know how to use the dragons to battle. He's only the rental guy. He's the guy that rents out the dragons to people. So that's his whole thing, is Dragon Renter. So he can't do that much, but he can call out a baby dragon. So there we go. Did the final boss really kill the hero of destiny, or did they slip down the stairs? He's defeated. There actually is story behind it, and there is a mystery and a reveal. So it's a joke, but it's not just a joke. It's a joke, and there's a reason and a story for it. Long stairs, I know. The hero of destiny slipped down the stairs, broke his neck. That's the end of it. If it's raining, you know, there's no grip on these stairs, man. It's a lot of stairs. So I love writing lore, I love interesting lore, and it's fun that this game, I've written enough lore for it to where you talk to the characters and you can see that this world has a bunch of stuff in it. And a big part of the joke is that you don't get to see that stuff because you're stuck in the final area. There's one NPC that you talk to in this game, and he comments and he says like, "Oh, hey, where's your airship?" And he goes, "What do you mean you don't have an airship?" And he says, "Everyone has an airship by the time they get to this part. It doesn't make sense that how did you get here without an airship?" You know, so the whole game is exploring that idea of what happens if the main character dies in the last dungeon and the only characters left are the NPCs that are right in front of the final dungeon. And I think it's fun to have a party of characters where these abilities are no good. These are so weak, but you have 8 characters, so you can just wail on the boss. You can wail on enemies. But if you wanted to spend the time grinding out, you can try to do a solo run. And I think a solo run would be so fun because all of these characters are so weird and different in their own ways. So this character, this is the woman. Woman has Flower Basket, but I also have Flower Keeper with me. And they have the basket, and the basket does basically no damage. It's so weak, right? And she also has a little projectile built in. She has a pebble, and she has rock throw. So rock throw is a stronger projectile, so she has 2 projectiles. And she has sharpen. So when your cooldown meter is gone, you can boost, you get a +4 for 15 seconds. But she has no damage options. Like, none of her moves have damage options. But the basket has hidden properties. And the hidden properties of the basket, they temporarily prevent an enemy from using their projectiles, their special attacks, and their grabbing. So there are enemies that can melt your HP. And those enemies, if you use the basket to just clobber them, just bonk them over the head with the basket, they won't be able to use those powerful attacks that normally would jack you up. So this item has basically no damage output, but you're not alone, you have a team. So your goal is to try to build a team to put all of your really insignificant abilities, you put them all together, and in a team of 8, you basically equal 1 hero, you know? And that's the idea of this. And I think something like this is really fun. To me, this is a game that I would really want, so that's why I made it. If the dragon guy could summon a dragon that just attacks anything, including the team, it would be kind of a funny nuke type. Oh man, that's really funny. Ara Pela, that's really funny. I like that. I'll show you what the Dragon Renter does. So first I'm going to empty out my party here. He can rent a dragon, and part of his story is that the hero of destiny rented out all the good dragons and didn't return them. So there's no good dragons left, and there's only baby dragons, and they don't necessarily help. They'll follow you around, and if the enemy gets close to it, then the enemy will take damage, but the dragon won't necessarily go and actually attack the enemies, and I think that's just funny. There's a bunch of, you know, I want this to be fun, I want it to be funny, so it's exploring many routes to comedy here. The bartender. I'll take the bartender with me. Oh, where's the bartender? Okay, I don't see where the bartender's supposed to be in there. I'll take the cook with me. See what the cook has. Okay, I got the cook. Ooh, she got a pan. I'm a bonk you. I'm a bonk you good. Bell. And the bell is a good ability. If you hit an enemy with a bell, it won't be able... It temporarily prevents that enemy from using special attacks. So if the enemy has a big, you know, electric shock attack, it won't be able to use it. So it's good to have a bell user. And the bells are not that strong, but that's okay. You know, you have multiple characters. So here's the Dragon Renter. Let's go ahead and take him with me. There's a bunch of different armor as well. So you go to the different houses and you can equip armor to your characters. There's a Dragon Vest. It might increase max HP. Do you want to wear it? I'll say no. So right now, let me see what my max HP on my cook is 100. So let's wear the Dragon Vest. I'll wear the Dragon Vest. It is heavy, but it feels tough. Okay, check what my HP is now. It didn't refresh. I think I have to leave or go to the next room and it'll refresh. I don't know why it didn't refresh. Dragons can be powerful allies during battle. Well, only if you're a hero, that is. Dragons don't listen to anyone but heroes. I rented out my best dragon to the Hero of Destiny, A. I don't know what happened to my dragon since the Hero of Destiny was killed. There aren't any heroes left, so maybe I should change businesses. All I have left are baby dragons. Okay, Dragon Renter, you're coming with me. Okay, just keep in mind, I cannot actually use or command dragons. I only handle the rentals. I don't have any dragon-related abilities. This is the dragon, the Dragon Renter. Let's go ahead and use his ability for Dragon Renter. I gotta adjust the font size. You see, this is the stuff that I'm fine-tuning. Font on that goes over the side. Call a rental dragon. Okay, I've got a little dragon. Oh, I need to get the birder as well. The dragon doesn't really do that much, though. And this lady has ducks, and ducks are actually the best summon in this game, because ducks are aggressive, and the ducks will go and attack. Okay, so now I have the birder. You can switch your character that you control directly. You can switch them at any time. It's a very free-flowing battle system, and you see, if you hold the direction for attacking, you lock in the direction that you're facing, so you can have a very fluid interactions with enemies. But certain weapons cause you to move slower when you are direction locking. So let's see the frying pan here. No, I think that one's fine. These characters are actually all kind of fast. You see it's a little slower with the frying pan. Steak is fine. I'll call out the ducks now. So I'm going to have two summons out. I got the dragon, and I got a duck. There we go. So you can build a summon party if you want, and you can enhance the summons themselves. You can level up your summoning ability so your summons deal more damage. So you can do that. You can enhance your armor and your weapons. So let me see. I'm wearing the dragon armor. If I upgrade it, I think the armorer is here, so I'll talk to him. I have to pick up this item, though. It's a fire gem. You need the fire gems to upgrade your summons. Oh, that's the accountant. The accountant has armor here. So I have characters, let's see, who is that? Dragon Vest. This character needs armor. There's adult pants here. It might increase power and defense, but reduce speed. Do you want to wear it? Birder. I'll wear the adult pants. For some reason, I feel sad. Will I ever feel happiness again the way I did when I was young? And the accountant... the accountant is the one that has that equipment in his house. I think that's fun. Now this character does feel sluggish. You know, she does move slower, but if we look at her stats, let's see, so her power is 3 and her defense is 3, so it has increased the stats. And when you level up the equipment, it will again increase the effect of that. So let me go ahead and try to upgrade my Dragon Vest. Is it this guy? Okay. So that's the Dragon Vest. For my cook, I'll talk to him. How could the Hero of Destiny have failed? He had all the best armor and weapons. When I started telling him I could upgrade his armor, he sprinted out of the building. He was wearing legendary armor, so there probably wasn't anything I could do to help. You have at least 50 green drops. Shall I enhance your armor? Yes. Okay, I'll enhance your armor. You can go outside the village and you can just farm green slimes and get a bunch of green drops so you can keep enhancing your armor. Okay? So it says my Dragon Vest is now level 1. And you can see my health. It was 100, it's now 175. So that's the base value plus the upgrade. I'm going to upgrade my armor again. And so I put all of these enhancements in here. It can break the game, right? If you have a party where everyone is upgraded, it can become very easy, but all of this is in here because you might want to do a solo run. And if you want to do a solo run with just one character, I think it would be so cool to try to figure out how to make your character work. So you can see if you have enough green drop, you can enhance your armor. You can keep enhancing it a bunch of times, you know. There's a limit to how much you can enhance the armor. Oh, I recruited him. He's come with me now. And you can see, so you see how I've direction locked? I have the armorer now, and I've direction locked with the attack, but you can see its movement speed is really reduced. So that's why you have different weapons. The pitchfork allows him to move a little faster, but he's a slower character anyway. So it's good to have characters with different options. Some characters have good movement options. You know, the stick has decent direction lock speed, and having pebbles is good because you can cheese enemies from a distance, you know. So that's the game, and I think something like this is just a ton of fun. And you can this game seems like it's very good for challenge runs. I love watching, can you beat X while only doing / using Y? Me too. It's so fun, and that's the kind of exploration that I want to give people with is you get to explore and you get to set your own challenges. You know, can you beat the final... Because I have it to where the final dungeon will reset. After you beat the game, you're allowed to redo the dungeon. So that way you get to try it with different characters. But, you know, you can do it... Can you do a run where you only use the pebble? And your party, you only have the characters that can throw pebbles. Can you beat the game using only pebbles? You know, can you beat the game using woman? Can you beat the game using armorer? You know, and admittedly, let's have a look at his thing. So armorer has break armor, so he makes the enemy more vulnerable to flinching from attacks, and he has padding. This is so vital. This is so vital. I can't even express how important it is, because the enemies in the final dungeon, they're designed for a player who has maxed out equipment. So when you go into the final dungeon, you're gonna get jacked up. And having a couple of characters with padding, like you can have multiple characters with padding. You have refreshments, and it's like 10 HP is not a lot. You know, these are not magical characters, but it does cure poisoning, and there are enemies with poisoning. You can have a couple of ducks. Now here's the thing, there's armor that extends the duration of your summons, and so you can have multiple summons out. There are characters who can reduce your cooldown period as well. If we keep recruiting people, you will find characters that can reduce the cooldown meter for the other party members, which means you can use your abilities faster and more often. Like the Final Fantasy V challenge runs, absolutely. I think this is in the spirit of all those kinds of games. 5 was my favorite Final Fantasy outside of 7 for a very long time, because I love the job system. And to me, this is, I mean, there's a joke in here when you talk to the guild master, and he says, I can change your job. And he says, oh, you're not a hero, though. I can only change jobs if you're a hero. And he goes, no, you already have a job. You can't just change your job. Let's see what armor this is. There's a flower dress. It might increase movement speed. Do you want to wear it? If you're doing a speed run, then yes, absolutely. Now, armor, I'll wear the flower dress. I feel fabulous. It will offset, you know, whoa, yeah, he's significantly faster. Now if you combine this, because all of this stuff stacks, you can combine this with the accountant. The accountant can do audit, and that's a +1 on speed, and when you have that, you will be zooming. So if you want to do a speed build on your party, that's absolutely your right to do it. I created this whole system for people to have freedom. You know, this is about you having creative freedom, creative expression. You get to build either your solo or your whole party. You get to do it your way. I think something like this is really fun. The priest character has a prey ability. It's not that useful, but there are ghost enemies, and they're tough to fight. If you use the prey ability, then ghosts will take 666 damage, and then that's an insta-kill for the ghosts. Otherwise, the ghosts will jack you up. Barehand skill for the win. Yeah, Final Fantasy II, you can cheese that with barehanded skill. It's... Yeah, I feel bad. I feel so bad playing Final Fantasy II, because I just go barehanded and just have all my characters, grind for a little bit, do your little punching, and then there's no point for the weapons. And you know what's really satisfying in Final Fantasy III? Is when your character has a very high level proficiency, and then they just like bonk the enemy 32 times, with a bell. Bonk, 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 bonk. It's very satisfying. For an RPG player, it's satisfying to see that. There's a geologist that you can recruit, and she keeps saying, okay, but just to be clear, I'm not a geomancer, I'm a geologist. And she says, I don't have earth magic. I'm a geologist, not a geomancer. I think I think people are just obviously it's just a bunch of inside jokes for gamers, and I think people are going to have a laugh with it. This is a farmer, astrologist. It's so cool. I just want people to explore all the different characters. They all do something a little different. I can't forget. I can't remember who has who has hurry up. Who has hurry up? Oh, there's the bartender there. I'll talk to this guy. Beast Fuser. Okay, I'll talk to this guy. I'll show you his beast. After you have tamed multiple beasts, you can fuse them to create more powerful beasts. By performing beast fusion, you can teach beasts magic they normally... That's a typo, gotta fix that. Normally cannot learn. You can also unlock hidden abilities through beast fusion. Oh, but you can only use beast fusion if you are a hero. I spent my whole life learning how to perform beast fusion. However, I cannot perform beast fusion unless a beast is tamed by a hero. The last hero I performed beast fusion for was an odd fellow. 400 times in a row. 400 times! He kept asking me to fuse the same two beasts over and over again. He would not stop until the fused monster was born with a slightly different color. What is the importance of that? I gotta fix that typo. I did not even know that was possible. So I think, there's inside jokes. The whole dialogue that I've thought up for this is a bunch of inside jokes. And it's like, no, if that was a feature, that we would be doing that. That you'd be fusing beasts over and over again to get the color alt. And so the perspective of this explores this NPC is wondering why people are doing that. Like, what's the point? Why would you do that? What's the point of that? You get it, Nelson. And that's... But we would. I would. I don't know why I would. I have to. And these NPCs are watching from a distance, and they're going like, what is going on? I know minerals. I don't throw minerals. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Sven... So there's a couple characters where I thought of it, and I thought, this is a real-life job, and it's kind of similar to an in-game job. This will be funny. So there's characters that I've built specifically around that. Okay, does Carpenter... okay, hold on. Carpenter has... When did I get the Carpenter? Did I recruit something and then not think about it? Anyway, I have Beast Calm and Beast Release. So let's go ahead and get a Beast Release out there. So you can see 2 slimes came out, right? Okay, I'm noticing a glitch here. Something's gone wrong, so I will fix that. I'll figure it out. Okay, so I have a little bit of fixing to do. This order's messed up. Okay. Break Armor is a good one. Oil Splash. So this is the cook. The cook can do refreshments. Beast Fuser has Beast Calm. And this is a big one, right? Beast Fuser, I think if you're going to do a solo run, Beast Fuser will probably be the one you want to try first. Because Beast Calm, you see what Beast Calm does, is it stops a beast from dealing damage on contact for 10 seconds. That is 10 free seconds where you can go and just hit the enemy as much as you can and do as much damage as you can, and you won't take damage from that enemy. So Beast Calm is absolutely vital if you're going to do a solo run, or a small party build, I think. and that's beast. So there's a glitch, right? This cooldown meter is not transferring, so I need to figure out why that's not transferring. So the game's done. I just need to fix. There's small glitches like this. There's typos and little glitches. And you can see every time you use beast release, where you released a beast, you see that it's a different beast. I put a couple different monsters in there, so I think something like that is fun. I notice I keep saying that, but that is my justification for the decisions that I make when I'm developing games. I did it because I think it would be fun. So I think there's 4 different monsters, 4 different beasts you can call out. We have room for one more character. Let's go ahead and find someone. I have to figure out what went wrong. Let's see what abilities she has. Artist. Okay, there are characters that have like really weird, cool abilities. Hold on. I'm gonna try Singer. I think Singer might have something good. Because each character has 2 weapons. You cannot change your weapons. You can level them up so they deal more damage. But the weapons are what allow each character to have their own unique, distinct personality. So every character has 2 weapons and 2 abilities. Yes. Brave Anthem. Brave Anthem, so the party cooldown time, 4 seconds. So let's say I've called out, let's do some summons here. I call out my ducks, my beasts, you see their cooldown meter? Now I'm going to hit Brave Anthem, and you see it's massively reduced everyone's waiting time. That's 4 seconds, which means that's 4 seconds sooner that you can call out another set. So when you perform a summon, it does not make your previous summons disappear. And there are multiple characters that can reduce your party cooldown meters, which means you can have 2 characters that are set up specifically to reduce the cooldown meters. So you can explore, you can set up your own strategies, you can, I think this is cool. I think it's fun. You can have a summon party, whole summon party if you want. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up pretty soon. I need to have lunch. I haven't eaten anything today. Thanks for hanging out. It's been so much fun hanging out with you. I'm so glad that I could share my games with all of you, and I'm really amped about the Goobuddies Kickstarter hitting the finish line. I'm so appreciative of all of you. It makes me want to work even harder. I'm going to do another live stream very soon. We'll do the sculpting on the new Goobuddies. I'm so excited. And I'm really looking forward to what people want to submit for the backers that get to submit a Goobuddies design. Their monsters will be in the game. People all around the world will get to raise their monsters. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be so fun. It makes it feel like this cool team effort. There's a green drop. Again, you can use green drop to upgrade your armor. You can stand in this field all day long and just farm a green drop. I made a little secret. I made it to where you can stand there, you can tape down the button, and the slime will keep walking into you. And yeah, you can farm that. It's like that on purpose. Okay, let me play my outro music here. All right. We have to thank you. Thank all of you for your massive support. We're going to keep going. We'll keep pushing. We'll see what we can do. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. I'm having so much fun. What matters to me is that I'm making something that people are really going to enjoy, and that's my core focus. And you can get disheartened by the end of a work week, because you put in long hours, and when you're tired, you just naturally feel disheartened. And it's so motivating, and it gets me fired up to hear from people that tell me that they're looking forward to my games, they like the games that I've made, and that they want more. It keeps me fired up. It keeps me motivated to keep working. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you. Genuinely, thank you so much. I'm going to have a pizza, then I'm going to get to work. It should take me about 4 or 5 hours of work, so I'm going to be updating the virtual studio. That'll be playable in your web browser. It's up now, but it's like 3 or 4 weeks. I have not had the chance to update it, so there's going to be a massive amount of new content. So please check that out. I'll be working on that today. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Be well. I really appreciate you. I'll see you.